everyone, and welcome to the Select Board meeting. I'd like to ask you to join with me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. For Chair's remarks, I have a couple of things. First one being is I want to thank Kevin Turnley. Those floors out there look amazingly.
Amazing.
No, I want to say wet, but I'm better of that, maybe, because I actually thought they were wet. They are amazing looking. Thank you, Kevin. Also, I want to read something that I wrote for a dear friend. It is with great sadness that I tell the people of Vernon that our previous treasurer has passed away. Shirley Mokler started working for Vernon in the late 1970s at the Recreation Department. She then went to work in the early 80s as the police dispatcher, working for Police Chief Herbie Meyer. In 1993, Shirley came to work with me as my assistant while I was town treasurer. Shirley became the town treasurer in 1995 and worked until her retirement, and I believe it was 2001. Shirley has been my best friend since 1982, and she and I shared great passion for crafts of all kinds and worked on many, many projects together throughout the years. Shirley was predeceased by her wonderful husband, Jim, who also worked for the town of Vernon. He was a police officer. She leaves two daughters, Noreen Mackin, Karen Mokler, and her son, Jim Mokler of Northfield. I would like to ask each one of us to take time to send a positive thought or prayer, whichever you choose, to her family. I also would like to ask that we all take a moment of silence in respect for a wonderful woman who spent many, many dedicated years working for the town of Vernon, and may she soar on angels' wings. Thank you. You take a moment, please. Thank you very much. We'll move on. Is there any open public comments? This is where, Brana, you can say anything you'd like. It's within reason, of course.
I was looking to see if a very wonderful person is in the room. I don't know if you got this week's comments, but Mike Fair has two jobs. He'll be a reporter for the Commons and for VT Digger. So I would like to say, welcome back, Mike. I don't know if he's going to be our person. If you want, you can look at it.
I would love that. Thank you.
I just am really
I won't write this minute if you don't.
No.
Okay.
There's lots of copies.
All right. Thank you very much, and good luck, Mike Farr. Anything else? Anybody else have anything? I'm going to move on. I have 3 additions to the agenda. One of them is Girl Scouts, and that would be under new business. The next one is emergency management and Homeland Security grant money. That's also under new business. Under old business are my quarterly reports that I have to turn in. There's 2 of them, and I asked the vice chair to sign, and that would be under old business. What's the pleasure of the board, please?
Chris, I have one as well.
Oh, okay.
Town Administrator Search Committee,
Okay.
old business.
Old business.
And I have Finance Committee, there was a request to join the Finance Committee.
Okay,
You have a copy of that email on your,
probably in the packet.
underneath the packet.
No, I only have Girl Scouts.
Should say Finance Committee right here. It's a Thomas Rappaport. You have it?
No, we don't.
I didn't see it either. I think it was just in the email.
Okay, it's right there.
All right, so,
Hand you that one.
that would be under new business, I guess. For finance, okay. Finance, new member. Okay, very good. Pleasure of the board, please.
I move we add the previous topics just discussed to the agenda tonight.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to add the 5 items, I believe, to the agenda in their proper place. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. First up on the agenda is Drew Hazelton. Is he here?
Yep.
Oh, yes, there he is. Come on up. Drew is Rescue Inc. And go right up here, please. That's gonna give a small presentation. And sorry that I missed that meeting, I had planned on it, but I
That's all right.
went right in one ear and right out the other, so.
And I try to, unfortunately, I won't be able to show the rest of the crowd the presentation. And on August 13th, we had a consortium meeting, invited a lot of the select boards in to hear kind of what's going on with rescue and emergency medicine as a whole in Vermont. So I'll go through that pretty quickly because I know you have a full agenda and answer any questions you have, and certainly can follow up with you guys if you have anything else. So kind of the general overview I wanted to cover with all the select boards with is the service delivery model that rescue provides to this area, what we've been up to as an organization, some of our data, some of our trends, things that that we're seeing, what's happening with legislative changes both state and federally, a project that we're going to undertake to move our Townsend office out of Grace Cottage and into their own facility, and then the subsidy request that the board is currently considering. So, rescue offers a fair amount of services that most people don't generally think of when they think of rescuing. We kind of break it up into a few different areas: our EMS operations, education, support services, our specialty rescue, technical rescue stuff, as well as our membership and charitable care. I'll just hit on those real briefly. Our EMS operation is currently based out of 2 places, Brattleboro and Townsend, with a total of 7 ambulances, 5 out of the Brattleboro office, 2 out of Townsend. We also provide the regional mass casualty support, technical rescue, as well as swift water and flood rescue for this area. Staffing currently 24 full-time, 23 part-time, and 12 volunteers. We do emergency response. That's kind of the traditional piece people think about when they have an emergency, medical or trauma, they dial 911, looking for an ambulance. But what they don't tend to think about is that our ambulances are doing a lot of transport to definitive care. So the person that's having the heart attack and needs to go to Dartmouth for a cardiac cath, or has a trauma patient that needs to go see the surgeon in Boston, we do a lot of those transports every month as well. We're up to about 100 of those inter-facility transports from our local hospitals out to specialty centers every month. We also do a lot of hospital to rehab transfers. People don't think about, hey, I broke my hip, I had that surgery, how do I get to rehab? We provide that service to everybody in this general area as well. And a lot of hospice transfers. So how do people get home when they end up on hospice, they're leaving the hospital, leaving a nursing home, and they want to go home to die? So we provide those. During the day, we staff 5 ambulances, and we staff 4 on the overnight with available staff on call to fill the 7 ambulance positions that we have. Please stop me if you have a question.
Can I interrupt?
Yep.
Can everybody hear him okay?
Louder?
Speak a little louder.
Okay.
Just a
You can
little.
holler that out too. So
Sorry.
on the education side, we are the American Heart Association Training Center. So we provide community CPR, first aid programs, as well as all of the advanced cardiac life support and CPR for healthcare providers, for the doctors and nurses of the area. We do the EMT, advanced EMT and emergency medical responder programs. We have 2 of those classes starting right now in September. Both of those programs, emergency medical responder and EMT, are being offered in the Western River Valley at Newfane and Jamaica. We also do a lot of the area's EMS continuing education, so people can keep their certifications. So I mentioned our next classes start tomorrow up in the valley, both an EMT and an EMR class, with an advanced EMT class scheduled to start in February 2016. That's going to be run out of Brattleboro. Some of the support services that you don't think about, fire scene rehab. We pushed in the last year due to an increase in our firefighter injuries in the area to push additional rehab services out to all of the fire scenes, doing medical monitoring on scene, hydration, and nutrition to try to keep guys and gals from getting hurt at these fire scenes. We transported 11 firefighters this calendar year off fire scenes. So we're really pushing the fire scene rehab. We also do evacuation. Most recently, during the fire up at Valley Cares in Townsend, we took on the responsibility of evacuating and relocating all the residents from that facility. Some of the other pieces, we're heavily involved in our school crisis planning for this area, which some of the schools are starting to get up to speed on, and we do a lot of event coverage for fairs, parades, and stuff. Technical rescue, we do provide vehicle extrication to towns that choose to use that service, as well as wilderness search and rescue, swiftwater and flood rescue. This is a volunteer team that's based out of Brattleboro. We are the Southern Vermont response team for a lot of those areas, as well as Southern New Hampshire. On the wilderness side, we do the search and rescue. We also do work with Vermont State Police and New Hampshire Fish and Game in the National Forest, as well as Mountain Agma. I think it's really important that I emphasize our charitable care and subscription programs as our healthcare system changes and people are looking at how do I deal with my healthcare needs on fixed income. Both of these programs allow people to either buy a subscription and help to cover their family should they need an ambulance, or in the event somebody gets hurt and is having financial difficulty, we do have a charitable care program that they can apply to have those charges reduced. I want to make sure everybody's aware of that. So what have we been up to? This year's been a busy year for us, upgrading our fleet. We brought on 2 additional ambulances to upgrade our fleet, as well as replacing 3 of our cardiac monitors. Cardiac monitors have an 8-year life cycle, and we had monitors that were well past that 8-year life cycle that are no longer supported. Again, a lot of that was grant funded. We've upgraded our training center. We are now providing advanced simulation. So our mannequins that we train on, we have the ability to, they actually breathe, they have blood pressures, they have pulses, they talk, they bleed, they die if you don't treat them right. And anybody that's ever interested in checking out what an advanced simulator looks like, it will vomit on you. It does a lot of other things too that ruin your day. So, but it's helping us to really kind of tune our staff and the first response staff, because we can run patients over and over again, and the consequences are a mess on the floor, but not necessarily that anybody really dies. So for the first response people in the room, you should come check it out. More important changes with healthcare reform, we decided to move all of our billing offsite. The regulations as far as how you bill and when you bill and who you bill have become so complicated that we couldn't have a big enough staff to do it. So we've moved that out. And the other big change for this year, Vermont EMS has stopped recognizing critical care paramedics in the way that we historically have had critical care paramedics. And as of January 1st, 2016, all of the critical care paramedics that we've been working, myself included, for the last 15 years, will no longer be able to practice at that level. And we're being required to go to a new national scope model. So we're in the process of sending all of our paramedics off to school to become nationally certified critical care paramedics. So it's our big education initiative for the fall. So here's the data. I'm sorry you won't be able to see the graphs. During 2013, and we do calendar year numbers, we ran 4,480 calls. During 2014, we were up to 5,018 calls. This year, the trend that we're looking at is going to put us almost at 6,000 calls. Our call volume continues to increase at a rate that's between 15 and 20% a year. that's the actual trend line that we've been watching, and it's an increase in emergencies. It's an increase in the number of patients that we're moving between facilities that's doing that, which is what's caused us to have to increase the quantity of staff and number of trucks we have on the road. We're looking at right now the feasibility of putting an 8th ambulance into the rotation to help take care of some of the peak times when we're seeing the volume. And then we started looking at what is it that we're doing out there. And the number of skills and interventions that the staff is doing is also increasing, and the severity of those skills are up. We took a small chunk of 3 months, not even 60 days, I'm sorry, and we did 467 field IVs, decompressed, did 2 surgical procedures and 2 chests, and 40 capnography, which are numbers that we've never seen before. The severity of our patients is definitely on the increase. We attribute that to kind of the change in our healthcare system, and that sicker people are getting sent home sooner, and the aging population of Webb County. So we're seeing more and more patients that are sicker. On the legislative side, we were pushing with the Vermont Ambulance Association in 2014 to get some sort of ambulance reimbursement relief. Medicaid in Vermont pays 13 cents on the dollar to ambulance services. Right now, every time we go out the door, we pick up a patient on Medicaid, it doesn't cover the cost of our disposable supplies. So during last year, the issue was brought forward, we lobbied pretty heavily, and what we got is a study that will be going back to the legislature for January, and a guarantee that if they can do it in a cost-neutral way, that we'll get a raise. So anybody has a cost-neutral way that they can help us, we would be glad to hear it. We've seen our Medicaid population and the number of Medicaid patients that we're treating double in 12 months through the expansion of the state Medicaid program. So that's the big one, and we could use any help that anybody has with that. What's happening federally? Healthcare reform has come in a lot of different ways, and it's affected a lot of different people. Ambulance services are included. Right now, the big change that we're looking at is a change in coding that comes up in October, where all of our medical billing codes, not just us, but every healthcare provider changes in October. And then the next piece that we're looking at is a change from a pay-for-service model to a pay-for-performance model in 2016. What we don't know is what it looks like. No one's actually seen any benchmarks or any sort of documentation as to what we're going to be striving for and how they're going to pay us in 2016. We've just been told that they're going to change it. So we're looking forward and hoping that that is a favorable change. We did, after a fair amount of lobbying, get the Medicare to agree not to take away an additional 2% this year. On April 1st, all ambulance services in this area lost 2% of their Medicare reimbursement, and through what was called the physician's fixed bill, that 2% was put back. So we were able to hold on to all of our Medicare money this year. So I think it's important that we throw out what's happening up in our Townsend area. We do cover 15 towns, 9 of which are covered out of the Brattleboro office and the rest out of our Townsend office. Our Townsend base is currently out of Grace Cottage, and as a result of healthcare changes, Grace Cottage is restructuring some of their infrastructure in their facility, and we need to move out so that we can have the amount of space that we need. The board put a committee together in, it was March, don't quote me on that, I think it was March, to look at what the options would be in that area for us. And after a fair amount of study, we've decided that the best option for us is to move off of Grace Cottage's campus and build a facility so that we can continue providing services up there. We're in the process right now of applying for permits. We're looking to put up a 6-position station up there, which will help us move some of the equipment that we currently have stored outside at our Brattleboro location because we don't have room inside. Into a facility up there and let us move everything that is currently outside in. It's kind of the general look of what we're looking to build. I am sorry, there are pictures over here. So, when I did this presentation last month, one of the pieces that I wanted to get across to all the select boards is we're sitting here right now, we're trying to project what healthcare is going to look like in 2017. When we start talking about subsidy rates and you guys start talking about budgets, that's what we're trying to do. And there's a lot of changes between now and then. Needless to say, with a presidential election and healthcare reform being a huge hot topic, that could go any number of directions. We're hopeful that somewhere in Vermont they'll find the ability to do some sort of Medicaid reform, but nobody really knows what that's going to look like. So we're also thinking and looking at the effects of this huge heroin epidemic that we're dealing with in this area and how that is going to affect us. We have a mental health system that is struggling at best. We are seeing the effects of the failure of our mental health system. When those services aren't available, they rely heavily on emergency services to fill in those gaps. So as we kind of project what our numbers are going to be in 2017, we're projecting them with a whole bunch of uncertainty as to what's happening on the state and national front. So this is where we're at currently. The town currently pays pays $21.97 per capita, and the board currently is looking at an increase to $22.63 per capita for the 16-17 fiscal year.
Repeat that figure.
It is from $21.97 to $22.63, which would see a total increase for the town of Vernon of $1,453. That's what the board is proposing at this point. They'll be voting on that at the September meeting, and certainly the representative from Vernon can take whatever input this board may have back to Rescue's board for consideration. That's my finishing statement. We're trying to get ready for whatever happens to come through this healthcare reform, through increasing our operational efficiency. What you'll notice, our trucks have become a lot smaller, more fuel efficient. We're in the process of trying to update all of our technology so that we can stay ahead of the curve. Increasing staffing to provide the depth of coverage we need in order to cover that 6,000 call volume. What we've got is education and training, and at the end of the day we talk about politics, we can talk about reimbursement rates, but what we know for certain is that there are sick and injured people that need our services, and when they call, we need to be there. So that's what we're working on, is being able to provide that service to all the communities, and make sure that we have the depth of coverage and the skills we need in order to do that. So that's what I'll leave it with, and I'll certainly answer any questions or take comments that people have.
Okay. Josh?
Also,
Mike?
no, I don't have any questions at this time.
Where fire departments have their own EMS, are you needed at the fire scenes as much?
Some fire departments do provide their own rehab. Most of them do not, because quite often their personnel are tied up in other activities on those fire scenes. We do have some areas that do.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody from the audience have any questions for Drew? David, please.
Just a comment as a shameless plug. That seems like a real cheap raise for the things that they do. So it's worth poking up $20 or $40 or $60 and go up to Rescue Inc. and buy a ticket for the truck raffle. You didn't
I was
mention
coming with that. So we are, a little
Please.
safe plug here. We are in the middle of a truck raffle. We are down to 1 month and we have sold half the tickets. We have 1,500 tickets that we have
Wow.
to sell in the next 30 days. So if you've not got your raffle ticket, or if you've not gotten 100 raffle tickets yet, please, you can get them off our website. You can stop in and see us, but we do have a whole bunch of those that need to be sold. And one more, we have an adventure race coming up as a fundraiser on October 17th. I have some postcards I'll pass out to you guys.
Yes.
So if you know anybody that's interested, we're using the fundraise money to help replace some of that equipment that we're looking for. We will be making an announcement shortly for anybody that contributed to our annual campaign last December. We were looking to replace 2 monitors. We did get enough donations to replace 1 monitor, and we're very pleased that Thomas Thompson stepped up and matched that so that we could replace both monitors that we were
Wow.
targeted to do. So
Very good.
the support from the community was great on both of those.
I think the only question that I would have is that we're going to be starting our budgets this month, and you said that your group is having a meeting this month as well.
Yes.
Will that figure be finalized for us to be able to put it into our budget
Our
figures?
meeting will be on the 3rd Tuesday, whatever day that is.
18th, 17th, something like that?
15th.
15th.
15.
And they should finalize, assuming that their plan is to finalize the number that night
Very good.
with whatever input they have.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you coming down, and again, I apologize, I missed that meeting, I had planned on going. So, and very interesting, and I appreciate everything that you all do for all of us. You know, I've had to use your services many times, and I appreciate every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sak Road update. Can you come up, David? Thanks. Did you? Thank you. I was gonna ask you if you'd go out and check on him, 'cause he just got out home from the hospital. He's coming up. Okay, David, I know there was a couple of questions, and Mike, did you want to come up with David, or you want to just wait and have him?
I can yell for
Okay, as long as you yell, because we can't hear you if you don't. Go ahead, David, please.
Mike might as well go ahead, because
All right,
I guess the question some of us have is where things are right now as far as moving forward on the process. There's been talk of another survey, I guess, is
they're going to take all the old paperwork, do whatever they have to do to update it, because property has changed. Nobody signed off last time, so we're still gonna have to deal with that as we move forward. And we're going to have all the paperwork so we can get slope rights and everything down in the dip up on the bank. So we can try to do it all at once.
so it's kind of finishing what was started before, is that?
Then
that
moving
correct?
forward, yes. It's
Okay.
all incorporated.
Now, what happens if there's some concerns in regards to right of way and whatnot? I mean, are we doing a survey prior to that, or?
They're gonna meet with the homeowners along the road out through here, with well, I should say property owners that we're gonna be dealing with.
yeah, Larry?
Why are we gonna survey this again, when it was surveyed while I was on the select board?
It's gonna
And
be-
you people put the markers in.
It's gonna be surveyed where the layout never got changed again, to make sure everything's right. Cause there's not the layout of the road, it was never signed off on. There's 2 sections,
Where are those sections, David?
at the beginning and just about on the power lines.
Power lines? That would be
The high
right
tension
on the
lines.
Shippey property, correct?
Actually, it would be on the Alexander property.
Oh, it would?
No. No,
So you're not going to keep the road in its, as it is right now. I don't see any sense in changing the road, just widening it. So you find the middle of the road and you go, if you need to widen it 10 feet, you add 5 feet on one side and 5 feet on the other side. Why isn't that a viable option?
and most of the places out through until you get past high tension, we don't have 50 feet to work. Some places it's only 22 feet. Like at the beginning.
Say that again, I don't understand what you said.
Out at the high tension line,
Yes.
just past, when the development went in, the town has a 50-foot right-of-way down through that we got worked. That's what all the paperwork says. It's all on the left-hand side. Right where Lucier's used to live. There's a pin by the,
My property is on the east side of Sak Road. And you look in town records, which I never knew, Earl Socolow hired an engineer out there. They gave 8 feet of my property, so the town would have a 50-foot right of way so we could have this development. How can somebody give somebody else's property to the town?
we'll find this out when we do going out through and make sure everything's right.
Yeah, that's probably why you needed the survey, to make sure that everything is correct.
But one section was right where I was saying the road isn't, we're right over. So we were trying to get the road laid out to right where it is.
So you're not gonna change the, if the road is straight through, you're not gonna change it to put a curve there or anything like that. It's gonna be exactly the way it is, except wider. And it's gonna be, both sides gonna be widened, correct?
That's what we're
I
shooting
think
for,
that's
just
what
like
was-
the last time, and hopefully everybody will agree and sign off this time.
David, the original thing that I understood was that most of the road ended up to the west of where it is now, which would give the Lucius property maybe 4 feet of lawn.
A lot of that was turned over back when the development
It
went
was
in.
turned over? Okay.
There's an actual pin down in by the telephone pole.
Okay, so that their lawn would be secure.
Well, it's going over on the property.
You know, how much though?
I didn't
Do they
measure.
realize
It's
that?
down there quite a ways.
Do they realize that, David?
I have no idea, we haven't talked to them at
Because
this,
that
it's
should've
new
been-
owners, see, that's what
Oh.
we're dealing with.
Yep, oh, I see.
That
And
should
some
have been
properties
included
changed.
when these people bought her property.
Well, I wouldn't know, cause,
So are the markers that are on the town map, are they still there? I mean, if we surveyed the road back in, I think it was done twice according to the town reports, and the map says, you know, granite markers to be set, does that mean they were never set, or they were set and they're not in place now?
Most of them were set, and I was only a worker at the time, and some are there, but quite a few of them aren't there. There's some out further, Larry's got one that's there.
Where'd they go?
yeah,
They took them out.
Larry's next, just a minute. They took him out?
Property owners took them out?
No?
No,
The people who,
Highway Department.
why?
You gotta figure that was, you know, mid to late 1980s, correct? Early 1990s at
Early
least.
90s.
Early 90s.
Yep.
So when we went through the road the last time,
Yep.
it was, the map that you showed us, my sister and me, went way away from where the road is presently going, underneath the power line. It completely left where the road was and went way down on our property.
To join up with the other road, where the other property pin is. At that end, they were trying to bring it over.
Why does the road need to move? That's what I still don't understand. Why can't you just widen the road as it is in place right now?
Most of the
ain't
property
broke,
we
don't
don't
it?
own. We only own over to your fence line. That's it. Some places, that's only 3 feet.
Are you talking what the town owns or what the town has for right of way? Because doesn't
right
right
of
of
way.
extend beyond the center?
What's that?
How far does right of way extend beyond the center of the road?
All depends how it's laid out, where the road it's actually laid, if they went by center line, or if you gotta take the maps out and look at the road.
There's no standard?
It usually goes by center line, but that road was put in long before.
It was a cow path.
It was. Yep.
In the event that there's opposition, is this an all or nothing deal? There's potentially portions of the road that can be improved that we have gotten verbal, positive feedback to do.
As long as we get stuff in writing, where we can go in and do temporary easements or whatever for slope rights.
And what is being
And that will be-
proposed now, is this, I guess I'm not familiar with this map that shows these monuments, but this is to bring it up to full town specs, so widening.
When we get meeting with landowners, it'll be, try to figure out how far they wanna go, if they want 50-foot right away, 40. But the town does have a standard that they wanted 50 when they did the thing for the town road upgrade.
Can I ask a question, David? Because kind of what I'm hearing is their concern is that, you're going to change the road a little bit. Is it possible that you can keep it like that? Because they're willing to, allow you to go on both sides, leave it like it is and go on both sides, as long as you take equal amount on both sides.
Just like
Yeah.
last time.
All right, because, I mean, the way when she asked the question about why do you have to change the road way over here? Are you going to change the road way over there, or are you going to leave it as is and just take both sides?
The last time, though, the only place we were gonna really cut over, I think, was at the beginning, right where the Allens used to be, too.
Well, you've already got a paved road in front of the Allen's house. You have it to the top of the smaller of the two hills. But where the contention was that my sister and I have, and my son will have, is that under the power line, when you gave us that original thing, and when we denied wanting to do that, the whole road was shifting. It would not even be on the same premises as where the road is now. It was going to go way down into our field, and there's no reason, and when it did that, then it cut off almost all of Lucier's, whoever lives there now, land. And the road would have gone within 10 or 15 feet of their front doorstep.
Right.
I don't think it was meant to go like that. I didn't grab the map to bring it,
us.
because I believe the road was gonna stay where it was, but on the right-hand side, we don't own, so we're gonna get more.
Then why show them the map if you're gonna go
Because
straight?
they went with a 50-foot right-of-way. So that map had the property line as straight over to the other pin to make it.
Well, if you stay where the road, as far as we're concerned now, if you stay where the road is right now, and you don't change the path of the road, and all you do is add enough land on both sides to make it a legal road, it's gonna be fine with my sister and me, but that was not what we were shown before. We were shown a whole new path, and it took out Lucia's front lawn, and there was absolutely no reason to do that. The road runs very straight. Road runs very straight along our field. The only place where it curves is once it gets to the wooded area. And that pin that was placed there, our land goes on the side towards the river at that woods area. Larry knows where the pin's supposed to be, I guess, but in the past, it has been pushed out by the road crew. Long ago, not into your auspices, but way back when Racine was the person. And so we had, even when Dale surveyed our land, he could not find that pin, it was gone. So at that point, underneath that power line, all of the road is on our side of the, all of the road is on our property.
And right about across from the pin you're talking about, in front of that telephone pole, is the
Yeah.
pin that
Yes,
the land was giving from Hutchins and Stockwell to the town as a 50-foot right-of-way when we put that in.
that pin is on our property line.
The right-hand one, going out.
Yes.
I'm talking the one on the left.
So is the
The
new
left one
survey
is on our
gonna,
property line as well.
the new survey is gonna provide us with new monuments?
We'll have to put them in after.
But
Based on
it's gonna,
what, though?
it,
Yeah, that's the
Excuse me.
problem.
Just a minute, I'll call on you, go ahead.
no, where I'm going is what's gonna happen in this survey be any different than what happened in the last survey?
Just listen to what they wanted, try to divide it on both sides and go out through. If you can do it
So-
4 feet, do it 4 feet
So
each side.
conceivably, we would get a map with new markers and new boundary lines
and
Way
put it in
before you
the
even
pen.
start, right?
way before we even
Okay.
start. So this discussion will change once we see the new map.
Well, once they see it, we get with them.
Okay, go ahead.
And this new survey is going to be based on what? The center of the existing road, or this arbitrary where the road should be, which is what everyone opposed 20 years ago? I mean, I guess what I'm saying is now,
Yeah, I get-
we're gonna pay somebody to do what? Reiterate what everybody already doesn't wanna do? Or take what the road, the existing road structure is now?
We'll have to do it on what the road is now and go from the center.
I think that sounds like it may be feasible, if we're gonna pay someone to survey based on this old debated layout, money wasted.
Absolutely, I agree. Go ahead, Larry?
Well, right now, the pin she's talking about, her corner pin is also my property line, which is a straight line. Just 6 feet on my property with the road. So what
Yeah,
they're
that's-
saying is we'll survey it the way it is, and what they've already got onto my property is the town.
So we'll have to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing.
Yep.
Further down the road curve, to the left and then back towards the bridge, this is my opinion. And it isn't gonna cost the town a dime other than the work. I'd straighten that out. And I'll give that property to the town to straighten that road out, move the band rail over on the culvert, then it'd be right straight down through there.
Part of this survey too is getting ready, like we talked before, Mike and I. Whatever culvert has to be put in, be all set so that all the property, so moving forward, we don't have to go back to get more property, it's all one set deal.
Maybe one thing I should bring up, I'm gonna, tell me what the town specs are when it comes to ditches.
2 to 1,
Are those ditches 2 to 1?
we can't get them 2 to 1 because of,
2 to 1 is 30 degrees, or 33.
we can't get it.
I'll bet you they're 45 or steeper.
We can't get it because of the property lines out through there, so I got that from local roads too, when they came down and looked at it years ago.
Will that be straightened out too? I know that's been a bit of contention as well
Oh,
on
it'll
that
be
Sak
straightened
Road.
out.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay,
I did speak to the resident in Teddy Lucius's old house, and mentioned to him what was going on. He said he was gonna try and be here tonight. He was supportive, and I said, you probably wanna talk to the town because he might be affected by some of this. I didn't know how much, I didn't give him any figures, but again, I think everybody would agree that we're not looking for an I-91 corridor here. If we can just get a couple feet on both sides down through there, and especially in the bad spots, it's not all bad.
yeah.
There's just a few narrow spots here and there that need to be done.
Chris, are you going, as a board,
I'm sorry, Mike.
are you going to meet with the residents on Sak Road?
If need be, absolutely. David will be, and when the survey is done, or before, I don't know.
I think
that might be a good idea.
When
Okay.
we
You
did
could- we
Franklin
could
Road,
kind of
it
have
was
a
the
meeting.
engineer and myself that went around. And when the property came over, Sandy got to go out to do all the paperwork right for the homeowner.
We can do that. We can have a meeting.
David, the culverts, do you have to do box culverts?
That one out there, it's gonna have your box, it's gonna be bigger, I know that.
It probably needs to be, yeah. Any other questions?
And
Go
I'm
ahead.
sure David's aware, but the flow of that brook is, fluctuates. Obviously, right now, it's down to nothing, but there's a series of 3 beaver ponds upstream of it. And eventually, nature's gonna take its course, and the road's gonna go again. So, I mean, hand core pipe's a wonderful thing, but it's not gonna take that. If we're gonna replace it, we've got a plan for what's coming.
When we go to do that, I'll have to have the state do a hydraulic study on all the property and the water.
Mike? Did you have something?
Oh, what's the time frame we're looking at now?
For,
For the
The
survey?
first step would be the survey, right?
they're working on it. I didn't get a chance to call them today.
Okay.
And I don't know if I will tomorrow, because I gotta sit in for a class on the grant.
But they're working on it. Excellent.
That was turned, as of July 1, they could go.
So it's a work in progress. Okay, as long as we know that.
And now I know exactly what they want. We'll go
Yeah.
from there, so they have a better idea.
Okay, Ann? Did you hear David? David said that he was thankful that he heard what you wanted, and he will go from there and work with that, okay?
I was just overheard Ann, and she's got a good idea too. During the survey process, I don't know if it's possible to put some staking out there so people can get a visual of where these potential monuments would be.
Well, that would be a good
They-
idea,
you know,
big enough so
it's
everybody can
difficult for
see,
some
yeah.
people to get their head around it on
Yeah,
that.
absolutely, I get that. You know, these big tall things with big red ribbons and
Yeah,
stuff,
right.
absolutely.
Grade safe.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, I understand that.
And
But you
if
can't
possible,
see
we can
something
get
that's
the
in the
residents
ground.
to do a walkthrough
Yep.
and everybody can speak to the issues before we go much further and spend any more of the town's money.
Yep. I think that sounds like a great idea, select board going out for a nice walk one night and meeting with the residents and stuff. A great exercise and great way to meet our people.
And this is just Sak Road, not Rocky Ledge Court, right?
No, this is the whole town of Vernon in one night.
I meant the survey.
I'll race you.
Done Franklin Road already.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
As the surveyors are working right now, they understand that the plan was not to go, was to stay, the road is here, and they're just gonna survey whatever corridor they need on either side.
I'm gonna get a hold of them, tell them that. Yep,
All right,
just keep it simple.
because that seems,
More
it's gonna
logical.
cost you a lot more
Yep.
money if you gotta start moving the road around.
Yeah,
all the time.
absolutely.
The
And it's
only
gonna be
thing we'll have to
curved.
do is like after is kind of establish a right of way,
Yep.
what it would be, and
They have to go through some legal stuff, you know.
then that's when we're gonna have
Shelve the old one.
Okay, we all set? Okay, because I'm gonna move on. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your comments. David, thank you very much for answering and working with the people. Appreciate that very much. Okay, wait a minute, do we have something else for David?
Two other things.
Yes, we do. Sandy had come up with and asked about, speed limit for the, at the recreation, department near there, so when the kids, in the summertime, when the kids going around, go ahead, Sandy.
Yeah, a town resident called me and they wondered if that speed limit could be reduced, like from Johnson's down to like Vernon Village for the kids that are walking to the pool. The bike paths seem to have disappeared, so.
to. You don't have a bike path.
No.
You've got extended shoulders. We don't have enough room for a bike path.
Can you answer that? Why, I know I've asked you 1,001 times, and I'm very sorry to keep repeating, but as I age, I'm gonna ask you more often probably. But what happened and why did it get moved from a big wide path on one side to two small ones?
Because of your teaching them to ride with traffic and walking with traffic. And the state came in, of course, back then the town also had sidewalk in it. Painted, and it's not a sidewalk.
Oh.
The sidewalk has to have the berm, so nobody can get hit.
Yep, wow.
But this goes to the trying to think of what it's called. They got a thing out there. I'm not
See,
like
as you
them.
age, you forget every little part of
It
it.
has a bike path, or you make it wider so that people have a place to walk. But they have also changed some things on the lane, so we might be able to widen them out.
Now, is that state? And why would the state be concerned
Well,
with
it's state
our
and
roads?
federal. Well, you get state money.
Oh, that's why,
That's
okay.
it.
All right. I mean, I ask these questions because this is people have asked me too.
Yep.
So, Josh, you have anything
No.
to ask? Mike?
No, thank you, David.
Sandy, just a minute, I'll get to you when the select
So
board's
the
done.
speed limit,
Have to do a traffic study,
okay.
and probably the best time to do that's when the pool's open, unfortunately, when everybody's going there, to get the exact count.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Emily?
Just kind of a silly off-the-top question, but I mean, how big of an undertaking would it be to put in a sidewalk from maybe like, I don't know how far you'd go down on the, what it would be, the north end, but to go from, you know, like Newton Road to the pool.
I don't know how much land the town still has before it has the right of way. So that'd be another thing to look at.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to investigate sometime along. Yeah, absolutely. Joyce, you had something?
Yeah, who put up the brown signs?
We did,
Okay, coming from my house to the pool,
that one's
there's a
blocked.
big old bush that covers it. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta trim it back.
Yeah.
They look good though.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
It's better that way, it's that high.
Oh, it's better to
reflective-
cover it?
It's that high reflective, you won't like it at night.
Oh, well, but it's just that it seems kind of dumb to have the sign there if you can't see it.
So,
Well, we've covered two of them in one fell swoop here.
Okay.
Anything else for David?
Chris, can I just ask a question?
Sure, please do so.
Does it cost any money to have that flashing light that you see, the speed light that you sometimes see on roads?
I'm not sure.
School zones? Yeah, you know,
No.
well, it was sort of similar
Well,
to
we
something
have a
like that.
flashing light
But
there.
it's right there at the intersection of the rec department. I'm talking more along, you know, when you're going up Putney Road right now?
On the
And you
right-hand
see,
side.
the speed thing and it flashes that blinking light at you and you always look down to see how fast you're going? I just wondered if that costs money or if that's something that could be placed there for a period of time, just as a visual, maybe during some of that time, as a visual to people. I know I check my speed every single time I go past that.
I don't know who owns that for
I
sure.
don't either.
That would be the sheriff's department. They have one of those, they can put it out.
They got the box.
They got the mobile trailer.
Yeah, the
She's
mobile
talking about,
trailer,
all
but
this
they
is,
also-
Bruce, is a
Yeah.
little
Oh, I know, I've
sign.
seen it.
Yeah, on the sign.
I've seen it. That belongs to their highway department, I believe.
Sometimes it's just a visual that will help people.
I know up in
Slow.
Maine on the interstate, they got some of the lights that go around for the 70
No,
miles. an hour.
Brattleboro's highway department?
Oh, I think so.
It was just a thought. I don't know if it costs money or if it would be helpful. I do know that every time I go past
Might
one of
be
those, I
steady.
always
Might
check
change it.
my speed.
Okay, we gotta move on. Ann, did you have a question
No,
for
I was
David?
going to say what Bruce did.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Seeing none? Thank you very, very much. Have a great night, David.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you all for coming. Good to see you all. Planning discussion. Chair and vice chair? Do you want the vice chair to come up? You can all come up. Bring your chairs.
We'll share it. Share the mic.
Come closer.
He's the chair, so get it.
Okay, now we asked you to come because we wanted an update and there was some questions as was proposed to you about Montpelier trips and all this stuff. So if you could update the select board, keep us updated because I personally have had a lot of questions asking about what's happening. Your rural development part of it, or economic development part of it. And I just heard tonight that, and I probably heard it way before, but that you may have to change the town plan. And maybe if you could update the board on that, update the people, I think we will be happy to hear.
Certainly. We also have with us, besides Janet Rasmussen and me, Jeff Dunkley and Patty O'Donnell.
Hi.
The other two
Welcome.
members are Martin Langefeld and Brett Morrison. That's our current planning commission. We have a lot going on now, and I'm pleased to have an opportunity to.
Yeah, I'm glad, I've
to-
heard.
I just procedurally have a question, and I'm sorry if I don't know this, but who is the liaison from the select board to the planning commission?
I don't really know, and I thought we had it, Katrina has it.
Can you grab me that to go straight up?
Previously Jeff was on the select board.
I know.
Was
Yeah, I
on
know, we did
liaison.
just do it, I mean, we've been asleep.
Well,
Really haven't
all
done.
I was gonna say is that would be another way to keep.
That would absolutely
And also,
keep us informed.
I would be willing to come on a regular basis.
Yeah,
and
well,
update the-
what we would like to try to do is get the committees in on a regular
Okay.
basis, the department heads in on a regular basis, that kind of thing. But this is the first year for me, and,
I think it's a great idea.
we're going through a time where we have to replace and vote, and how many times did you go to the voting?
Mike is?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right,
Well, there you go, he's
good
been
to know
coming.
that. And also, just in terms of, I didn't know I was on the agenda until I just got it in email. And-
Yes, you would have got it this
But I
past
would
week,
just,
right?
I would
Yes.
suggest that,
It was like Thursday night.
I did apologize for we talked about that, we apologized for the short notice, and if you.
because I
could come
didn't,
when you
I
did
may
that.
not
Well,
have
she
been
had
able to
been on
attend or-
vacation as well.
No, but I
so-
was just saying, you know, if you want a chair of one of your boards to come, I'd just find out, give us a call, are you available?
Okay,
What are you gonna
point
talk
well
about?
taken,
Because
thank
I
you.
had no idea what this was about,
Yep,
so.
update,
Yeah, all right.
general.
Update. Montpelier seems to be the big issue. A number of, we had quite a few meetings with a development team that's looking at a natural gas fired power plant that would be located somewhere in Vernon, hopefully somewhere in Vernon, and hopefully close to the existing facilities. I'm looking at them on the wall over there. The development team asked, and it's Don Campbell and Herbie Scudder, and they've come to a number of meetings, I think they've met with the select board too. Said, once they have a site in under agreement, they would like to go and have a meeting in Montpelier with the governor and his team to present this concept. And they actually asked, could the planning commission, some of the planning commission members, especially the chair, and that's now me, attend that meeting. And we agreed that would be a good idea, but we have not had any meeting. There's no site that I'm aware of. So until they do, and they would initiate the meeting, we're not setting the meeting up. We would be an observer or a participant. I suppose it could be expanded to other members like select board too, to attend.
Liaison.
So, we as the planning commission felt it was very important to also have a public meeting for our town residents to talk about this project. Because it's a huge project. It could be a $1 billion development with more tax revenue coming to Vernon than the Entergy facility. And so we, as a planning commission charged with economic development and land use planning, are the natural entity to be the interface with the developers. We have no authority or approval process as a planning commission. First of all, we have no zoning related to this.
Right.
And also, energy facilities are developed outside of local zoning through the Public Service Board. And so, in fact, they are specifically exempt from local control. So we're doing this more as informational and actually trying to give feedback when they ask us a question. So we really don't have anything to report other than that we've been meeting.
Well, that's a lot to me, what you
Yeah,
just said.
but I mean, we don't have
really,
sites, we don't have a scheduled meeting.
Sounds like you've been very busy and.
Well, I can say that the Kinder Morgan company that's developing the Northeast Direct Pipeline,
Okay.
which is proposed to come from the Marcellus oil shale fields through New York State and through Berkshire County and then up through North Adams and across through Greenfield and probably jumping into New Hampshire and then to Drake it, is somewhere in the close to 99% certainty that it's going to happen. Of course, there's a lot of opposition along the way, but this is the stuff of federal eminent domain and power and needs of communities for economic sources of power. And New England has some of the highest utility rates in the country. And we're losing more and more power production. Obviously, we lost 650 megawatts right here, but there's two other coal plants closing. There may be some other nuclear facilities closing. And we're just going to be paying astronomical power rates if there's not new capacity. The renewable energy sector is great, and I'm involved with that through the solid waste district and solar, but it's never going to step up in the next 10 years and replace the capacity we've currently lost.
Right.
So there has to be, in my opinion, some transitional energy that gets us there to whatever that future is. That's just my own personal view on it.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't gonna happen overnight.
No,
I
and,
think that
and
anybody
people are
that thinks
opposed
that you thought that
to
is.
fracked gas because it's a petroleum product, and there are potential adverse environmental impacts. New York State has banned fracking, Vermont has banned fracking, statewide, so it's a very controversial. The other thing I wanted to point out is that there's really significant competition for a new power plant. Literally, Hinsdale, New Hampshire has land and good power corridors, tax incentives, lower cost land potentially. There's land in the southeast corner of Vermont, in Pownell, and Bennington, and that's been discussed. So there's not a given that if Vernon, the developers say, hey, we've got a site in Vernon, that it would actually come here. So we feel there's a bit of a race to see who can get in line for that. Because what would happen is the developers, once they have a piece of property that they control and what they consider a friendly host community, then they go to Kinder Morgan and say, we'll buy. It's almost like we'll prepay you tens of millions of dollars to lock in this capacity while we go ahead and develop this project. So there's a lot of risk money, but of course there's a lot of money to be made. It's hundreds of millions of dollars. But what I said about the public, friendly host community, we need to find out, are the people in Vernon supportive of this idea? But until you know where it's gonna be, everyone's gonna be like, well, let me know where it is. And our feeling is the Planning Commission and the work we've done with our town plan and the land use maps is that right in the vicinity of the plant is the most obvious choice. And it's an economical choice for the developer because of the connections to the existing power lines and the other infrastructure that's there, whether it's on energy property or adjacent property. So we don't know. We're really bystanders, and
You're hardworking at it.
And we are.
As much background research.
yes,
as
we have been. We want to go visit.
Great.
We want to go visit a power plant, and so we've requested, can we please go visit a similar gas power plant? I haven't been to one. Has anyone here been to a big gas powered plant? Okay, all right, Dave. But they're not all the same either. Some are older technology, some are newer technology, so we want to see what's closest to what's being proposed. And it turns out in Connecticut, there is such a facility which just opened about 3 years ago. So that may be something we go see as a planning commission. We take a day off from our regular jobs and go down to Connecticut.
And
Janet, yes.
the only other thing is that, there are a bunch of moving parts to this, so we're trying to research all of the moving parts, including the biggest regulatory piece of this will come through New England ISO, because they essentially, as Bob said, they're the ones who will decide how much power is needed. They work with the whole Northeast grid, and what they consider to be the amount of power that the grid needs to stay stable throughout New England. So they've already sanctioned the pipeline, but where the gas comes from and where it goes, where the stations are actually situated, all comes under their purview too. So there are about 20 moving pieces to this at this point, and we're trying to research all of them. What does the state think? What does New England ISOs think? What does everybody, each of Kinder Morgan think, so that when we come to the town, you know, we can present you with as much information as we possibly can, which we don't have yet, but.
So we're not ready for that.
Yeah.
We also, I believe, I'm not sure how much of Act 250 would get triggered by this. If Act 250 is triggered, then the planning commission is by statute a party to that. But it may not trigger Act 250, depending on if it's what the current land use is and some other issues. So I think that the select board, from your meetings with Don Campbell, said this sounds like something we should pursue. And I think the planning commission's unanimous, and it sounds like something we should pursue. So that looks good to a developer saying, hey, the major boards involved with this are supportive. If we all said no way, then they'd be gone. Patty or Jeff, do you want to add anything?
No, only to say that it's not only a matter of economics for tax issues, or even the fact that our electric bills are going to start skyrocketing because of the higher cost of electricity and the amounts of plants that are closing. There's also an actual destabilization of the grid. And you know, you lose a lot of power sources all at once, and all of a sudden there's not enough power. So there's huge concerns about blackouts, rolling blackouts, and Vermont being at the end of everything, we're the ones who are going to get it the most. So those are the kinds of issues we're trying to research and understand 100% before we go to the communities. Talking to ISO New England has been part of it. Talking to our own commissioner, just like, you know, Munson talked to Pat Moulton Powell about the broadband. We need to talk to people in the public service department and see where they're going from. And the only way we can get the answers to give to the public is by talking with these people and asking them questions. So that's really what we're doing right now. But we would like to try to tie things up as soon as we can and have a public meeting as fast as we can, because as Bob said, that there's going to be a power plant. Whether it's in Vernon or Hinsdale or somewhere else in our neighborhood, there's going to be a power plant. So we don't want to be left behind because we haven't gotten all our ducks in line at this point. And we want to know what the community wants, because it is a tremendous amount of work that the Planning Commission has been doing, and there's no sense of all of us. I mean, we're now 2 committees. There's a subcommittee working on a whole different issue, as Mike knows, because I think you're on that committee, right?
Bye, bro.
So there's no sense of all of us doing this work if the community is going to say, no, we don't want it.
Well, that's true. We need to, you know, you just let us know and then we'll.
Regarding the
go
meeting,
that route.
do you
Yes,
want to be
absolutely.
informed of when the meeting has been set up in Montpelier and have an opportunity to participate?
I think that if the liaison goes, if that's what he wants. We just may push him that way.
We'll let you know. I think the point is you'd like to be informed.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay.
And it actually, the
Yes.
meeting was attempted to include the governor.
Oh.
And because if the governor and his executive staff are not opposed, we have a pretty good shot. But as we all know, if the governor his staff is against something, it's tough.
Tougher.
So, we're,
Not impossible.
and we also have done research into the governor and his various departments' interest in gas, and they have been supportive of some pipelines coming in from the north. There have been power plants discussed in the northern part of Vermont that would use gas coming out of Canada. And the economics of this, this is more than you probably need to know, is that the Marcellus shale gases are much less expensive in what the sale price to the users than the other forms of gas. And so it's economically more attractive to buy that gas for a big power plant than to build it with gas from the other sources.
And particularly since the pipeline's coming. The pipeline is,
And it will be
that's
there.
been set. The map has already been drawn, it's been sanctioned. So it's going to come right past us, which was the original impetus for this whole idea.
How long do you, I don't know, project that might take, I mean, to come through?
Actually construct,
Yeah, construction.
once they get all of their permits
mean the
in place,
pipeline?
the pipeline,
The pipeline,
I
yes.
think it'll be done more quickly than you think it will. It has to be approved by FERC, which is obviously New England ISO. I would say they could start construction within 8 to 10 weeks of all of the final sanctioning coming into place.
Wow.
And then it would be built,
Be built from the
so
source
it could be a year or
toward
two.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And then the development of a power plant is several years.
right.
Construction of that would probably be 18 months, once everything was set. So this is something that is probably not gonna happen in the next 2 years, but maybe in the next 4 to 5
I
years.
think it's a good idea to bring it to the people.
Absolutely.
oh, no doubt, that's what we've been
Yes,
working towards since we
absolutely.
started
But until
on
we
this
have
project.
until we have a site, it's just like, well,
No,
gonna
I
be-
understand.
I could give you an update on a couple other things if you want.
I would love them.
Okay.
Before we move
Emily.
on to another
Yes,
topic,
please.
may I ask, so what is your goal or idea about having a public meeting? I mean, how quickly do you want to do that?
Within the next couple months.
When we have a site, or the developers are ready to disclose a site, you know, obviously, that you can imagine
I
there's
see your hand.
a lot of confidential development and negotiations to buy
Couple
property.
months would be Christmas, we could have a Christmas party at the same time,
Yeah, because
right?
we're not even aware of all of the site stuff that they're working
But
on.
we would, as soon as that happens, and it's a publicly announced project, you know, with a site, and they're purchasing the gas, and we would schedule it as soon as possible for the town.
One ahead of you.
But
Anybody
probably
else here
within
before I call on
maybe
David?
2 months.
Anybody on the board? David, please, David?
Yeah, I'm just confused as to,
I can't hear you.
it's my view that we don't need to have a developer ready to sign on the line, a pipeline committed, a site approved, and contracts ready to sign before we have any discussions with the townspeople about the big picture concept of whether people in this town want to see the future of their town as being a town that hosts a gas plant versus an agrarian type community, and that initial discussion about what is the public looking for should be held sooner rather than later. I don't think we need to wait to have all these details before we start having a discussion with the public about something this big that'll impact the town in so many ways.
Thank you. Just a minute. One over here. Go ahead.
Has the towns that you see in Massachusetts that have those signs that say they don't want to, has it been approved to go through those towns?
It's been approved, sorry, go ahead.
No.
It's been approved where the line is going to be laid, and then what they will do is contact actual property owners who own the land where they want to put the pipeline and discuss with them whether they can either give them cash to buy the land, or whether if somebody is intractable, if they just want to keep the land and they don't want to sell it for the pipeline, then they'll have to they'll move the pipeline a little bit.
Or they take it by eminent domain.
So it's not 99% sure that the pipeline's gonna come through there. If the people don't want it, what are they gonna do?
Well, it will be a matter of where, exactly what property it goes through. If
Right.
it's, if the property owners agree, then it's fine.
But
Then-
right now, all those people are saying, no, 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 no.
But we don't know whether those people actually own property where the pipeline's
Right.
going to be.
They can say no,
Right.
but they haven't been approached to see if they can use their
But doesn't
property.
it-
If they can't use their property, then they're gonna
Right,
move
but
it in a
doesn't the
different
town
place.
have to vote on that?
That really depends on what each town's zoning laws are all about, and what each town's, I guess, whatever would be the equivalent of a planning commission. I can't.
We were told by Don Campbell that the Kinder Morgan pipeline was about 99% sure that it was happening. So I can't, but I don't understand how they come to that
I
conclusion.
mean, it goes, if it's coming from Pennsylvania all the way through to Drake, is that how you say it? To Drake, Mass, there's gotta be 30 towns at least involved, and Kinder Morgan deals with those. I don't know how they deal with each town's regulations.
Those are good questions, and we,
Yeah.
Yeah, because if one town says, votes no, we don't want this coming through our town, then it may not even get up here.
well, my understanding is that towns cannot stop the pipeline. that this is under federal.
Why?
Because,
That's right.
because there's a greater public need for energy, and that the federal laws allow the taking of private property for a greater public need. And just like any utility right away, any highway, gas.
So that means that Vernon can't say no.
No, that's not true, because we don't have, the pipeline isn't necessarily coming here to Vernon.
But if they say, we want it in Vernon, then the people in Vernon can't say no?
No, they can, this is only for the pipeline, which is the pipeline, the actual construction of the pipeline is governed by a group called FERC, which is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Kinder Morgan files their plans for the pipeline itself to FERC. FERC approves it, and then the process becomes exactly what Bob was talking about. Right now, those plans don't necessarily include a gas plant in Vernon.
Yeah, the gas line is not planned to come through Vernon.
Right.
It would only come here if there was to be a plant.
If there was to be a plant.
Okay, let's say then there was a plant gonna be there, but yet the people in Vernon said, no, we don't want it.
Well, still under eminent domain, they can do what they want.
So it doesn't matter what the people in Vernon want, you're gonna get it anyway because
No,
No, that's not true. What they're trying to say is if the town wanted a gas plant, then they would come through. But otherwise, they're not gonna come through without the town's approval of it. Why would they?
If we have a public meeting, and the gymnasium's full,
Yep.
and 51% of the people are, no way, then I can't see this select board or any board saying we want it. And we just tell the developers, go somewhere else.
I got questions elsewhere. No, I got questions.
Yeah, but Jeff is on the board, I think he wants to answer that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, going back to pipeline, isn't the majority of the miles that are gonna be constructed basically already used?
Yes, they're either rail beds or electrical right-of-ways, absolutely.
That's a good point.
They
Most,
prefer to
all of
use
it is
those.
It's not gonna be going
existing.
across private land for
No.
every single mile.
It's about a 36-inch diameter pipe, I believe. So it's not a 36, yes. 36?
No.
Let's see, when I go fishing, the fishing is So, anyway, it's not a gigantic, installation. So, it's a yardstick.
I wanna keep moving on this because, we're going way past our time. We just wanted an update. So go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, we're forgetting that Hydro-Quebec Canada has more power than they know what to do with. They could provide the whole entire Northeast with electricity. It's just a matter of getting it down here. And it's a lot less dangerous to run some power lines than it is this natural gas. And it requires a lot of pump stations. You just don't start it in Pennsylvania and send it through a pipe.
Oh, yeah, there's a
And
lot
those
of pump
plants,
stations.
those plants don't hire a lot of employees. Very few people work there.
Well, those are the kind of things that we bring out in a hearing
Right.
and try to, and have fact sheets, but until we know what it's gonna be. And David, I think it's good to have public meetings, but right now, I certainly am not comfortable trying, I can't even answer these questions.
Yeah. Did, Patty, you have something?
This subject has been broached in the public quite often. Don Campbell and Herbie have been in front of select board many times. It was discussed that we were looking into it at town meeting last year. It's been in the newspaper. I haven't heard any opposition at this point, and that's why the planning commission has started down this road. Now, no opposition doesn't mean that people don't want answers. And
Right.
that's what we're trying to, this is just, what we're going to Montpelier for is fact-finding. And things like, it's only gonna employ six people or a handful of people. That's not what the information we've been given. We've been told it will employ about 150 people. Some jobs will be security. They'll have admin and maintenance jobs. And you think about the people in our community who are losing their jobs or have lost their jobs. It's the security, it's the maintenance, and the admin. The engineers are being scooped up all around the country, but it's the actual Vermonters who have lived here for whose families have lived here for generations, who have lost their jobs and can't find new jobs. And those are the people that we're hoping will get scooped up by this power plant.
So,
Okay, you have something else,
just a
right?
couple
Yeah.
other things, just so
Yep,
you know, there's, an application, out from the Vermont Communities ACCD, Community
Energy
Development Planning.
Energy money.
No, I'm talking about municipal planning grant money, not the Wyndham County Economic Development. It's not
No, it's
Wiki
not
Dip.
Not Wiki Dip. It's another one.
It's actually called Municipal Planning Grant. And Mike Corbash and I worked on an application 3 years ago, and we did get the money to help update our town plan. We applied last year and didn't get it because our town plan had not been formally updated and adopted. So we are planning to apply again to do additional updates to the town plan. And it doesn't take, the select board will have to be the applicant, but we'll do all the work for you. So, and I'll, with my liaison.
You're so
now.
wonderful.
So, well, thank you. Going to WikiDip, Wyndham County Economic Development Program, which is the energy money to the tune of $2 million a year for 5 years for economic development, had mandatory public meetings in the last month. If you're intending to apply, Martin, Janet, Brett, and me attended those meetings. We will be discussing at our next planning commission meeting whether we think we could apply for that money. We applied last year for an incubator, business incubator at the Governor Hunt House. And so that concept is still of interest. We've kicked around a bunch of neat ideas, so we have quite a bit of time, into November, December to get this application together. But we are looking at they call it WikiDip money also.
First step is a letter of intent, and
Right,
then you
yeah.
have to pass that, and then you can apply for either a grant or a loan.
Right,
Yes, so-
and that's what we went to the meeting last Monday, so we'll discuss at our next meeting if we have anything that looks like
There's
it
a
will
lot of
fit there.
stuff you have to have,
It's a lot.
It's a huge amount of paperwork,
It's a
yeah.
lot. And I actually did apply for
And
one
you
last year.
gotta do that letter of intent
That all has to
just
come first.
right.
That's like October
If you don't-
22nd or something,
Yeah.
so.
Right.
But anyways, we had 4 people there from our planning commission, and we're ready to. One other thing, I see that solar is on your agenda later, and I did talk to Mike about it. But we have had a number of presentations to the planning commission about the idea of putting large solar projects in Vernon. And there are developers talking to landowners about building projects in Vernon. Again, we don't have any say, but just an FYI, there's discussions going on. I don't know of any particular project, but I don't know if it's on your agenda, but I could just point out that as through the Wyndham Solid Waste District, where I work part-time, we do have a contract now with a solar developer, and we will be offering significant reductions in electrical costs through the solar project to our member towns. And Vernon is a member, and the school districts are also eligible. And Mike Hebert met with me Friday. He's very interested from the Vernon schools in being involved with that. So we'll be discussing that at our next solid waste district meeting. So, but I'm hoping Vernon participates.
Sounds great.
Chris, one other thing.
Yes, please.
In the email that went around, Munson had talked about the server farm. And
Right.
We talked about that really for quite a few months. So I had the opportunity to talk to Matt Dunn about other things, so I mentioned it to him, and there needs to be a legislative change in language for not only Google, but any of the, whatever they're called, companies being interested in coming to Vernon. Now, if we have a power source, that'd be huge for them, but they don't necessarily have to have a power source like that. But this language has to be written. I'm gonna work, planning commission's gonna work with Mike and, what's her name? Becca Ballant. And see if we can get legislation in the queue, so when they go back in January, they can talk about it. We're gonna talk about that more at planning commission at our next meeting. So that's another thing the planning commission is really looking at a lot of different
Yes.
avenues, not just one.
Very active.
Yes, as a matter of fact, with the fiber optic committee, we were informed that the town plan has to recognize the need for a fiber optic network in order to qualify to build one. So that's just a kind of a minor amendment, but again, to amend any plan takes public hearings and drafts and.
I was thinking of asking the select board if maybe they wanted to break that out to be a separate committee all by itself, a standalone committee all by itself, the fiber
Well,
optic.
the
Is
only
it
thing about
necessary
doing
that it
that,
has to
Crystal,
be under you?
When we
Guys?
have our public meeting, I think that that's another question we should ask people, because the fiber optics is gonna be a bond issue. So again, before we keep going down these roads, I think we should get the public input. So why don't we do that first? And then that's certainly a serious discussion we should have, because I don't care what the committee is, they can't do everything.
Right, absolutely.
So we really appreciate the opportunity, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you weren't forewarned as you would have liked.
No, that's okay.
However,
I
the
just-
select board had some questions.
I was pleased to see it, but I just thought,
And we'll invite when we can.
yikes.
Thank you very, very much, all of you, and thank you so much for all your hard work.
You're welcome, we enjoyed it.
Appreciate it very much. Okay, moving on. Bills and warrants. Do we? Everybody signed, everybody's looked, any questions?
Alright, we got enough. Madam Chair,
Yes, Miss Emily.
I make a motion that we approve and pay the following warrants. 15-16.4 accounts payable, $28,223.06. 33S payroll, $11,437.28. And 34S payroll, $12,025.20.
Second. Any discussion? Motion's been made and seconded to sign and pay warrants 15-16.4 accounts payable in the amount of $28,223.06. And 33S payroll in the amount of $11,437.28. 34S payroll, $12,025.20. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Approval of minutes?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
I have some corrections.
Wait a minute, need a second? Or let it die and we change that motion?
I'll second
Okay. Now we're gonna do a friendly amendment.
This is the discussion.
We did the discussion and we'll change it if we have to. Go ahead.
Drew Hazelton's name just is spelled with a Z. That was one of the corrections. They're all just typo kind of corrections. On page 1,
While you're on Drew,
yeah,
they kind of separated his discussion with the town clerk's request.
Yes.
where is that page?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Page 3. You see where it goes health officer, then Drew Hazelton, then town clerks.
Yeah.
And then back to Drew again.
Yeah. All right, I'll change that too. The first motion on page 1, Sandra Harris made a motion that select board chair is the keeper of the records. It needs to be all capitalized. It goes from high to low. That one's, no, sorry, the word motion is misspelled. And then further down, the next motion, under section 1, that should be all capitalized.
Well, it's not like a real thing, I mean, we can.
No, except that it's
say-
hard to find when you're researching, if you're going back to research something for somebody. It's just easier if we can correct
Go
that
through
while we're
every one of
correcting
them?
it. And then On page 2, any of the motions that have just a first name have to have a first and last name, and there are 2 of them there. And then on page 3, the town clerk's motion, it says town clerk's request. There is no end of the motion that says the outcome, so I just need to, I'm sure that you voted it through, but I don't know who
Yeah, you'll have to look at.
who
Yeah,
made
you'll
the
have to look
second,
at the
so
thing.
I
We
need
don't
to
know.
change that as well.
Yeah.
And that's it, they're all just
But
type
it did go
things.
through. Okay.
So I would offer a friendly, I second.
Yeah, a friendly amendment, okay. So motion's been made with a friendly amendment and a second to accept the minutes as corrected. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Could somebody ask them to move a little bit farther down the road? Thank you. Or down the hallway? Can't concentrate when I'm hearing, talking. Okay, old business, Roaring Brook license agreement signature. Do we have that
Yes.
somewhere?
Here.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve and sign the license with the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Development for the Roaring Brook area.
This was the thing that the forester came and talked to us
Yes.
about. A second.
Any discussion?
Did you have a question?
I don't.
Don't?
I thought it was about the sale of timber.
And whether we got any proceeds from it.
Well, that's what it
Yeah.
was to be.
That was, sorry, I do remember that now that you mentioned it.
It's to use the property to get to their
Yes,
property.
it's all it was to go from go through Roaring Brook Falls to get to that property that they wanna, cut down the wood to. I mean, it wasn't like they were gonna cut our wood, they're gonna use our land to get to it.
No, what the question was, which was brought to me by a resident,
Okay.
is why aren't we getting a cut of the profit being made by using our property to get in and out of that state forest? Which I think
Good
is
question.
a very good question, but I don't know if there's regulations involved where we can't. I just don't know enough about that subject.
Yeah, I have no idea.
They have a right of way, right?
My question would be, if
We're
you
offering
own
the right of
property,
way.
and you own property, and you want to cut wood on your property, but you need a right of way through his, should he be getting some of your money for your wood?
I would probably offer it to him if it was me, because I'm using his property to get,
Yeah, but you might just
to gain
offer
profit.
X amount to use it for the roadway.
Yeah, that's kind of what the
But we should-
question was from the resident and saying, why aren't we benefiting outside of, them supposedly updating our trails and stuff like that after they're done? Which makes sense to me.
It does to me as well. However, we've already given them permission to do so. I mean, shouldn't
No,
that
this
have
is
been?
it, isn't it?
We
Gave
had a
him
motion,
Yeah.
and the state already made a motion, but,
So you can break the increase.
I mean, I don't know, could we, now rescind that motion and say, wait a minute, you're
Well,
gonna
I
pay us to
don't-
go through? I mean, I think it's a great question, and I get the concept of it, but I don't know.
We
if
could
can do
present
that.
it to him, I mean, you have made the motion, but maybe we could go back and just present it to him. Is there any way that we
Mhm.
could see some proceeds from the sale?
I think they're already saying that they're gonna return the property to the way it was before and
Right.
improve the trails and, replace all of that. I think that's their form of.
Their way of repaying us for allowing us to.
State doesn't like to give any money.
They may
It was
not
just a
even be
question
making
that got
Yeah,
brought
no,
up
that's
to
a
me,
great
which I said,
question.
that makes a lot of sense, but
Yeah.
I don't know what, legislation says of whether we can do that or not,
I don't know.
I believe the state law says that a landowner has a right to ingress and egress for, your property. to get your wood out. They have that right to do that. So even if you're landlocked, they have a right to go across your property for that.
Similar to the discussion we just had.
Yeah.
So, that's fine. It's something to look at in the future, I guess, if the opportunity arises again.
Absolutely.
Where do you want to start to then?
Okay,
I think they were, if my memory serves, I think they wanted,
it
they
says
were
that
gonna
the-
wait, I think, weren't they gonna wait until after mud season
Yes.
Yes.
next year?
Next
Yeah.
Yes.
spring.
We could ask them to come back in and talk to us. Or,
Good.
but I think they've done what they usually do.
But I agree with Mike that they already said that they would
Yeah.
do this and that and the other thing.
I think we missed our window of opportunity to
I do
ask,
too.
but
I
it's a
agree.
good point, you know.
It
if
is a
in the
great
future
point, great
another,
question,
you know,
but I do
comes up
think we
again.
missed our
Yeah.
opportunity to
Yep,
do so.
I agree.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to sign this agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye unless there's more discussion before I go forward.
No.
Signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so ayes have it. Go ahead, sign
I
it.
think you need two signatures.
Yeah, and I've got it here, I've got the original here.
She's got the
originals.
Oh,
I
okay.
have the original.
So,
After the meeting.
did we say who we should probably say?
The motion should say.
It's two of them.
I move that the chair and the vice chairs
Yeah.
be the signees.
How about we rescind, take away a second, and start over again? Kill that motion. In agreement? Okay, now start over again. Go ahead.
I move that we have the chair and vice chair sign the license agreement for the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department for the period of September 15th, 2015 to December 31st, 2017.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to have the vice chair and the chair sign the license agreement for effective September 15th, 2015 through December 31st, 2017. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 You want me to notarize it
Yes, could you please?
after you sign it?
Yeah, we'll do that after the meeting,
Okay.
okay? All right, budget scheduling, let's call on Katrina on that one.
Okay, so, I've heard back from quite a few, since I did a little bit of chasing. The cemetery committee and the listers will be here on the 8th. The,
Whoa,
yeah,
Can you say those again?
the cemetery committee and the listers will be here on the 8th.
okay,
The, fire department and the recreation department will be here on the 15th.
yeah, those are big ones.
Yeah, and
they
so I
go
only
to-
kept two there.
Yep,
Because they are big. The highway department and buildings and grounds and treasurer will be here on the 22nd.
oh, wow, okay,
That's a lot.
yes.
The town clerk,
Now, hold on.
oops, sorry,
I don't have a computer.
Yeah, what was the date on that one?
the 22nd.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I will write this up and send it around to your emails.
All right, that'd be perfect.
The town clerk and the historians will be here on the 29th. And I have not heard back from the library, or the seniors, or planning commission.
Wow, are they still out there?
Does the library need to come before us? They do their own.
I did send around.
They do their own, they
Yeah, they're
They
just
come
like
every
certain
year to
articles.
present it to
Yeah.
us. They've always had,
Yeah.
they have
I did
always
send
come.
around an initial email back when I was asked to do so, which I think you received carbon copies of. And I also sent out a reminder that I hadn't heard back from certain people. And then I did make some individual email requests and a couple of phone calls to sign up people.
Yep. Nancy first. Sorry.
The seniors, I can't ask the seniors to do anything towards the budget until we have our meeting, and that is on September 14th.
Oh, okay.
So then we can be
We'll
scheduled
put
in.
you in on the 15th then.
What?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Bronna.
I
would almost say ditto, except that our date, the library trustees will meet September 9th,
Oh, okay.
and we will be having the first viewing of our budget, or discussion on our budget. Because Chris has
Probably got it done already, yeah. Then can we plug you in for the 29th of September then? Because that only has the town clerk and the historians.
tentatively, I'll bring it to the board
Okay.
next week.
All right, thanks so much.
Are you gonna put the seniors in on the 29th also?
What about the 22nd? Or is-
Highway, building, and treasurer, I don't think so.
Oh, that might be
Highway's
too
got
much.
three
When did you
three
just-
different
how did you-
sections.
So, did you give me a date? I
No, I
didn't.
said plug it in,
Whatever
where
date.
you have an opening, and
Okay.
we'll be there.
Wait,
I think that,
most opening is available on the 8th, actually,
yeah,
Of
September.
next week,
We won't have a meeting yet.
yeah.
We have to meet first. Well, I didn't think you were gonna start the first week. It sounded like you had everybody there.
Yeah, what was on the fire department and the rec on the?
fire department's on the 15th, and
Yeah,
the
those
rec
are
is on.
too big for
Yeah, I
anything
wouldn't
else.
put anything
Um,
on there.
What time do these start?
They start at 6:30 and only go to 8:30.
8:30, 2 hours. Well, we have, let's see, town clerk, historian, and library on the 29th, library, seniors, and planning on the 14th. I think we put planning on the 14th.
15th.
15th, excuse me. Okay, so.
Planning on the 15th?
Planning on the 15th.
With the fire
No,
We don't meet
rec?
till the third
you
Wednesday.
just said plug it in.
Yeah.
Did you
Did
you meet, did you really need it or not?
We meet the third week of September, I'd
Okay,
say.
then we'll plug them in on the 29th. How's that?
29th.
Okay. All right, planning. And then we'll do, what was the seniors on library seniors on, not on the 15th.
Make up our minds, you're saying we're meeting twice?
Yeah,
No,
you said the
no.
21.
No,
Don't,
we got library we have on the 29th.
Yep,
And so the seniors are meeting on the 14th.
they're meeting on the 14th, right?
So,
How about they're very small and very fast, so how about the 22nd?
that's what I had suggested.
Yeah, oh, did you say that?
Yeah, that's what I initially suggested, but we thought it might be too much with I don't think it's going to be, because they're very quick.
Yeah, I think that, yes, that's right, I did say.
And
So,
the meeting
let's do
date
that.
is 6:30.
Tuesday.
Okay, don't play into the nuts thing, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, that sounds great.
So then I think I've covered everything.
Then we have everybody.
Don't think I missed anyone, I apologize if I did.
Because what happened, why it was on my paper, because you said this is who I don't have.
Yes.
The time, 6:30 or 6?
6:30.
6:30, we start at 6:30. It's a 2-hour meeting and we're gonna try to hold right to it, so there won't be a lot of conversations, there'll be presenting of your budgets, and we'll go from there. Everybody okay to move on? Oh,
Will we
sorry?
get an email of that schedule?
Yes.
So-
Yeah.
Okay.
She just
Yeah,
said that.
I'll do that.
Everybody will get a
Yeah,
copy.
everybody will get a copy.
Okay, now, under old business, the EOC stuff, that's the quarterly report that, I normally ask of the select board, of the chairman to sign, if, vice chair, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. Here comes that nuts thing again. So, if I could have the, board agree to him to sign this, I'm having it signed early because it has to be in by the, 16th, and we're not meeting until the 21st, so.
I'll make a motion that the vice chair signs these.
He just signs one.
The EOC report?
Yes,
The
quarterly report.
quarterly EOC report,
To be submitted.
Yeah, it won't be submitted until the 16th of September.
to be submitted by September 16th.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion on that? Motion's been made and seconded to have vice chair sign the quarterly reports for the EMD that will not be put in until the 16th of September. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let's get that done before Santa gets in the room.
The second,
Oh, that comes under new business.
oh.
Do you wanna wait? Do you wanna go ahead and do that right now?
Okay.
because there's another part to this, which we haven't done before, so. Just the quarterly report. No, don't touch, don't, you wanna go 9/16, so don't put it, I'll put the date on when because I didn't date mine either. He'll put his signature on it up there. Okay, now, Town Admin Search Committee.
Town Administrator Search Committee. I had another good conversation with Abigail Friedman, and essentially she sent me the packets with all sorts of examples of the ads that they would place, examples of contracts, RFPs, a whole folder full of things for our package for each of us. It was supposed to be here today. I don't believe it made it, but she wants to now come down and present this. Shouldn't take any more than a half an hour to the board and discuss the next steps moving forward after that. We have 3 options. We can wait until the meeting, which is near the end of September, or if we're wanting to get this off the ground as quickly as I am, we can either have a special meeting on one of the Mondays we're not meeting, or we can include it in one of our budget presentations, which appear to be quite booked now. So what would be the pleasure of the board?
I would think if she could do 6 o'clock on one of the budget meetings. If we're not starting till 6:30 for budget stuff.
What if it goes over?
Yeah,
And we're cutting into our budget
She
time.
doesn't think it'll be more than a half an hour, but depending upon the questions that may arise from us or the audience, there's a possibility it could go longer than that.
The 8th is pretty light for a budget meeting, but I don't know if that gives us enough time to.
Yeah. We do have a Monday, 14th that we're not meeting. I mean, this is the 31st of August, and we're not meeting next Monday, obviously, because of the holiday. We could meet 2 Mondays in a row. We could meet just for that. We don't have to have a big select board meeting.
14th we'll have a rec meeting.
Yep.
So why don't we meet, if it's just the cemetery and the listers on the 8th, they
Why
can
don't you
just
do
do
the
that.
budget?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I was
she-
thinking.
Can she
She
come?
can. I
She
proposed
can?
all these dates
Great.
out ahead
Oh,
of
all
time.
right, great.
So she is available for the,
Can we meet
All right,
earlier
then-
than 6? Or can you?
I think.
I mean, 'cause she has to go back to Montpelier that night anyway,
Yes.
so.
Uh-huh. I mean, yeah,
it's on the 8th, yep.
5:30, say start at 5:30, she has, that would give her an hour.
Yeah.
I don't have sports schedules yet, so.
It would be real tight for me to get here by 5:30, but.
But I mean, we could start at 6 as well, because, it is it's cemetery and listers, and neither one of them are a big budget thing. And yeah, they are good, and it would go fast, we wouldn't spend 2 hours on them.
And if she
So-
thinks it's gonna be a half an hour, worst case scenario, we're 45 minutes probably.
Right, so I say just start at 6 and
6 o'clock
leave
on
it at 6
the
and
8th.
okay?
I will
All right.
contact her tomorrow and I will send you all a confirmation email.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you very much, Mike. All right, new business. Now, I don't remember who was supposed to, I thought it was Emily, but Emily tells me no. Was supposed to research the berm between a Webb property and the town property and why that berm was put there. Were we gonna ask David?
Yeah.
Maybe he knew?
That berm was there when he widened his driveway a year ago.
Yeah, it's been there forever. I mean.
But it's worse since he widened the dooryard.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what we were trying to get at was, what was the purpose of putting a berm there, right there, you know?
Chris, just from observation, I saw what he did is when he widened his driveway, the ground was already up there. He cut down to level his driveway. So that created a berm.
No, the berm's always been there.
No, I
Right?
know, but it made it worse. It made it worse. when
Made it
when
cut,
he lowered
yeah.
he lowered his driveway to level it.
All right.
I missed the last meeting, and I started watching it on TV, but I can only watch it for so long. Tell me why we're so concerned about this berm.
It was just a question that Mr. Webb proposed to me.
Okay.
It was a car accident.
Excuse me, yes, and what happened was is a car accident brought it forth.
Yep.
So whether we take it down or not, it really, it means nothing, it's up to you.
Okay.
He asked if maybe we would like to take it down or not.
Does he want it taken down, or?
I think that he
Okay.
probably does.
All right,
Yeah,
that
but
helps
we
me
just,
a lot.
we weren't, yeah, we just weren't sure why it was
Why
there
it
in the
was
first
there.
place. Was it
Okay.
like a drainage issue? Was it just to kind of separate the property line? We weren't sure, so.
Is he right on the property line with us with that, where he stopped his driveway? Okay.
We had talked about taking a walk out there, but.
Yeah, it's kinda late now
Yeah.
though.
Could we ask David to research it, cause probably the highway crew put it in there? Could you research it? I mean, you would have the information on it, wouldn't you, as to why it was put in?
That would be state.
No,
That was there when I was.
But how about the
Right.
town clerk? Why don't we ask the town clerk?
Yeah, I mean,
Why would,
Look up the boundaries.
Yeah, look up the boundaries and maybe there's something written there that might say, you know, we put it there because we thought it would be, you know, beautiful,
Well,
beautiful and irritate people later in the future.
It might be
Yeah,
uncertain.
whatever, something like that.
The only thing that concerns me about removing that berm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It might be something, excuse me?
The only thing that concerns me about removing that berm is when we get real heavy rain, we get a big pool of water
You
right
do.
there.
yeah.
But
And I
we
don't
do
know
it
if
with
that
the
berm
berm.
was put into place to keep it from spilling over into that residence.
Oh, good idea, good thought.
That would be my guess of why it's there, and maybe if Mr. Webb knew that, he would reconsider.
Probably reconsider, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Wanting to take it down, but that's up to him, it's his property, but.
do you mind doing that research, Nancy? Okay, thank you. Then let's do it and we'll put it on a future agenda, okay? And move forward, all right? Okay, guidelines for liaisons, and I think it's included here, yep, here it is. Katrina and I, late at night, no drinks, came up with this. Actually, it was one head with the other one kinda like, hurry up and go home, kinda nodding. But yeah, we got it done, anyways, thanks to Katrina's.
It all started because Emily asked a question. What do
is the-
liaisons do?
What do the liaisons do? So, I know, Emily, you didn't get a chance to read it real well, but
No,
did
I'm
everybody else
sorry.
get a chance to read that? Do we have any, no? Do we have any, thoughts on this? You wanna wait and maybe bring it up at a future select
think
board
it's
meeting?
great.
It's not much to it. We made
It's
it
much.
very,
You could add to this.
we made it very
Take away.
simple.
It's very generic and.
I
Yeah.
think it is, I think it's
We
just generic enough.
We wanted to clarify what a, so that if
Do
somebody
you
had a question,
people out in the
what a
audience have a
liaison
copy?
did. Some of them might, I don't know if there's enough, if there was enough copies for everybody, but
You have a question, I think.
I have
Yeah.
a copy of the question.
Yeah, just a minute. So, anybody else? I'm going to the audience.
I have comments, I don't have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Nancy.
My comment is that years past, it's been confusing as to who lets the committees know that they're on the agenda. It's been either the secretary or the liaison or the secretary, or they don't know and they see the agenda. We had that same situation tonight. So if you are going to make it a liaison issue, that may be part of this.
Yeah, we didn't have that issue tonight. What are you talking about?
no, she's talking about plan. He actually, he received
received it Thursday.
a separate email
Yeah,
that
okay.
asked if he could attend, and I apologized for the short, Chris and I typed it together, that for the short notice.
Because it was
Who
late,
is
late
it that-
Wednesday.
Who is it that notifies the
Our
committees that they're
secretary.
gonna be on the agenda?
And I had notified the chair of the board.
Yes.
That the select board is requesting that they be on the agenda, and for what purpose.
Yeah, he was notified, because it was late, she was on vacation, and it was late at my house that we met to do the agenda, and that was a Wednesday night, and Thursday bright and early, he got his, notification. Anyway, go ahead, you had a comment.
My only comment is the first line under the responsibilities. Checking in with department head monthly is fine, attending no less than 4 meetings a year for committees. We're on 10+ committees, all of us are, as liaisons. That's 40 additional meetings a year. That's
Well-
a lot of time commitment. If you're checking in with somebody monthly, I don't mind attending meetings. I just don't feel it's necessary to pigeonhole us to say, okay, you gotta go to 4 meetings a year for each one of the committees that you're on. I think that's a near impossible task for people that work.
Okay, but, yeah, we can change it, it's just that, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a better,
I think some of the committees felt abandoned sometimes.
Yes, that's
Like
why
liaison,
we-
Yeah, I
never checked
understand
in
that.
with them, and so
Yep.
we wanted to provide them with some kind of, but recommend, I think, is a great.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a great term.
At least.
Cause I mean, I try to come into the town office at least once a week, but that doesn't mean that, you know, I'm here for very long, cause I'm not.
And a check-in can certainly be, you know, as far as the department heads, can be a phone call.
Yep.
Doesn't mean you
Yes,
have to go down
absolutely.
there and see them, but,
Yep.
you know, a phone call, just so they, you know,
Okay,
if there's
so
anything.
we, it is recommended that liaisons, okay. Good wording. Anything else, Josh?
no, I think everything else makes a lot of sense.
No?
I haven't thoroughly read through it. So no.
And you're not down either.
I have a concern, I guess, a little bit on the guidance during budget time. I mean, this is my first budget season. I don't know that I could provide a whole lot of guidance at this point. So I'm not sure, I mean, we can attempt to provide guidance,
Right.
but I just don't know, I mean, especially with somebody who's got a 2-year term. I mean, that could theoretically change to a new person every year. I don't know how much help somebody might be during budget time if.
Well, that, you got a point there too.
But you could bring questions
Yeah, you
back.
can bring questions back to the board.
Yeah.
I just think again, we had some committees who felt like we don't really know
Right.
what to do, we don't know when to do it, we don't know what to do. They were looking for a little bit of support from.
I think it's very important that if you're, especially with the departments, you know, I mean, if we're liaison to the fire, that, you know, we should call the chief, talk with the chief, or just, you know, go to one of their meetings or something like that. Same way with the highway, you know, that they know, because, you know, I think it's important anyway. I do, but go ahead.
On the budget, what if you will provide updates during budget time? If the seniors bring in their budget and they present it, and then next week we say, boy, they really blew it, let's change this. It'd be the liaison's job to tell the seniors to change your budget.
Well, I think that we should not change someone's budget without them being right here, sitting there ready to argue with us.
But
Yeah,
I agree, I think
you know what I mean?
guidance
I
just
do.
may not be the right word. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
helping
that's
out
what-
during budgets and communicating, that
helping,
kind of
yeah,
thing, but I
something.
just don't know that,
How would you word it though?
I don't know, I was trying to think of that. Who's got
Also-
the source?
Well, liaisons will communicate with committees during budget time.
That's good.
That's fun.
I really almost think that's kind of a given though.
That's still,
I think it's a given, but
I mean,
like
if we're
last
supposed
year
to
during
communicate-
budgets, I notified people when things changed.
Yeah.
So when we had the budget meeting, we put
Yeah, well,
we
this
put
year we're
together
gonna have them
emails
change to change it.
and that's how we did it.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean that that has to be, but I
Huh?
don't think it's it's not always a given.
Say that again,
Like-
Sandy, I didn't hear you.
Okay.
You're contacting them every month, so.
Yeah.
you could
I mean,
probably
I
write it
think
right
that's
out.
important.
And you,
Well, you know, during budget time is available to be called on for, I don't know. I mean,
We
the
rehashed this line
guidance
several
is
times.
yes, we did, and the guidance was really kind of a good word, if you think
kinds
about
of
it.
seem like kind of a broad term.
Right.
I
but,
didn't wanna
I mean,
say provide support.
Good guidance or bad
Yeah,
guidance,
you
you can
don't
give
want-
guidance.
You know what I mean?
Do there really even need to be guidelines? Shouldn't there just be an educational piece to let select board members know that this is your responsibility?
Yeah.
Well,
That's a good
that's
thought.
true, but Emily asked that
No,
question and
no,
that's what
I
brought it up.
understand, but you know,
Yes,
a
go
lot
ahead.
of these things, like,
Sandy, hold on.
directed by the select board to research, inquire, and resolve issues as needed. Some of our committees are, that's their purpose, is to do the research.
Well, see, like, if there was a problem with the town, say, in the town office, then, and the board needed, I don't know, me to do something. That's kind of what that's saying.
That's
Is the
that
select
statement.
board saying, Chris, you go in there and you talk to, the listers or whatever and this and that. I mean, and or whoever's with the highway, fire, so on and so forth. I mean, that, I don't know. You're right.
If
Now
we
that
had
you
a-
said that though, I kind of think that, you're right, we don't need guidelines, we just.
Well, if we
it's
had a
just
formal orientation process,
no-
that would be different. I would
Yes.
agree with you, Mike, but the fact that we don't yet, this could go away in the future. But I think it was just basically because I heard Emily say, what do I do? And I didn't really, we gave you a general answer, but I don't think we gave her anything really definitive. And I thought maybe she clearly asked the question. And if we had an orientation process that happened, then that would be covered.
Yeah, I went to VLCT's website, just Miss Sandy, and speak right up there, girl. And we couldn't find anything at all from there, so go ahead, Sandy.
Aren't we getting an administrative assistant, a town administrator?
Yes.
Is not a lot of this her job, his job, their job?
For liaisons, I wouldn't
Well,
think
as far
so.
as
You
the
can't-
budget time, most of them will come, most of the budget things.
Well,
work
the
with
people
them.
the department heads can go to that person, but I mean, we can't, keep loading on that person,
But that's part of-
our responsibilities, and that's our responsibilities.
But that's
liaison.
part of their responsibility during budget time, that's part of an administrator's responsibility.
Well, yeah, that would be, she
So
would
it's
give
like-
them a guide, I would say.
We're telling Emily, now, this is what you're gonna do, but
I don't, excuse me?
I'm sorry. You don't even have that job advertised yet.
Yeah,
So in the meantime, you need to take care of it.
thank you. Voice from the audience, yeah, okay.
So maybe we should, bring this back a bit later. meeting,
Yeah, I
because we
agree, I
have some
agree,
changes
it's
already.
just, yeah,
I agree.
okay. Future agenda item. Not
That was
necessarily
well
the next
written, and I
one.
like the ideas.
Brattleboro landfill project,
All right, I'll be brief.
okay, good.
There was an email that came out from our treasurer indicating that a request was made for the accounts, or for the town's electrical accounts, bills. The purpose of that was because, as Bob mentioned earlier, the Solid Waste Management District is putting in a solar array. It's a 5 megawatt facility, but as he mentioned, all of the member towns, Vernon is a member town, will receive, if they choose to participate in this project, will receive credits. And what they're looking for is the past year's worth of billing to see exactly how much the town would save. Now, when I gave Cindy the documentation I had from the district, I had anticipated them doing a formal presentation, which it didn't happen. They just sent the emails out asking for the information. When I gave her that, she did make copies of the bills and she sent it to them. However, they do need approval to go in and access our accounts from Green Mountain Power.
Why do they need to access our accounts?
Well, she didn't give them the bills, I'm sorry, she gave them the account numbers.
We need to see how much
you're using.
usage we're using,
So she
they
can
can
just copy the bills and send them to
I gave her that option, but she gave them the account numbers instead. That was I said, Cindy, you don't have to give them the account numbers, you can black them out and give them the bills, but she chose them to give them the account numbers, and because she did that, then they need approval to look up our accounts. Initially, I don't know the figures yet, but he indicated we may be able to save, over $20,000 a year in electricity if this goes as planned. As he said, Mike Hebert, as the school district, is also getting in on this. All the members of the school district are, and they're already receiving some benefits from the array that they're tagged into. And this could be even more. So it's a win-win for the town.
Should there be a public information meeting to the town? Does the town need to agree to that or anything? No?
No. As a member of the district, we're entitled to that. We just have to agree to participate in it. So right now, there's no reason not to agree. There isn't really any, we don't have to pay any fees. We don't have to do anything like that. It's just.
So the participation is giving them access to our accounts to see?
No, the participation, we're already a member of the district. We
Yeah.
participate. They just want to access our accounts to see what our energy usage is over the year. That's it. They're not going to do anything.
They can project a savings probably.
Yeah, a formal, and that's where it was going from there. Once they can tell how much we're going to save, and every other town in the district, that's when they plan to make the formal presentations to the board to get everyone.
So we're not authorizing the actual participation in the
Nope.
program, we're just authorizing the integrated solar to access our Green Mountain Power account.
Right.
Simply to view activity.
Right.
Yep. Sandy?
Or usage.
No, that was, you answered my question.
Okay, Brana, you're so anxiously want to get to that microphone.
I likewise am looking into a community solar array because I live in a wooded area. And what they're looking at, if you look at your GMP account, the charts of your usage, that's all they want. They don't care about your amounts. They don't understand your amounts.
They want kilowatts.
Integrated solar just wants and that's all they're asking permission for, is to look at that. And they average your monthly usage, your monthly usage for a year. That's it. It's very simple.
Thank you. Anybody else? We need a motion?
Yeah, to authorize Cindy to.
To authorize them, it's there.
Or actually the board, I think they want a letter from the board.
Write a letter.
Hey, Chris, I think you have a question over there. The hand was raised, but.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
It's not everybody in the town, it's just the town.
The town, it's the town.
The town clerk, the town.
But that's gonna offset your taxes.
Yeah.
If you save $20,000, that means that your general budget's gonna be that much cheaper.
So they're gonna do the school in the town office building
Highway department.
Yeah.
Fire,
Pool, all town.
All the municipal electric.
Any of the accounts we have.
Yep. Okay, the motion's right there on the cheat sheet.
Oh, that's right.
All right, it's called administrative work. Sorry. So if you would like to, if the board would like,
Make the motion. Make a motion to write a letter to Green Mountain Power authorizing the release of our utility information to integrated solar for the Brattleboro landfill project.
Second that.
any more discussion? Motion's been made and seconded to write a letter to the Green Mountain Power authorizing the release of our utility information to integrated solar for the Brattleboro landfill project. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it.
So can I, Madam Chair?
Yes,
I make a motion to authorize you as chair to sign the authorization letter to Green Mountain Power.
you can do that. Any discussion on that? The motion's been made to authorize Chair Christiane Howe to sign the authorization letter to Green Mountain Power. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Who seconded it?
Sandy did. Okay,
Is,
Comcast DPS,
can I ask a quick question before we move on?
yes.
Has the town ever talked about installing solar panels on our own buildings?
No, but we did have, that, I think he was from the Brattleboro
Integrated
Landfill.
solar.
Yes, I think he was.
Oh, I was just thinking, if we save, say, $20,000 a year, what if we instead spend that save it or whatever, that $20,000 towards installing panels on our own buildings? I mean, I know the pool has got the perfect roof line for it, the direction, the sun exposure. I'm sure that the school has good.
The 5 megawatts we're gonna produce will take a whole landfill full of panels.
Okay.
So I'm saying it's a lot of panels to get that kind of savings.
Okay.
Now, obviously, we're offering that kind of discount to every member in the district. So, you know, maybe a roof could cover what the rec spends on electricity to run the pool for a summer.
Yeah.
I believe the incentives for putting in run out January 1st, 2016.
Yeah, there is a,
Yeah.
They typically re-up though, don't they, with the new package of incentives?
Well, from what I understand, Vermont wants to be the most green state.
so they should.
Yeah.
But I don't know how the credits work.
Yeah. It seems like every year they say the incentives are running out, then next year there's a whole
Oh,
new
no.
thing of
Yeah.
incentives, it's like a car dealership.
I just didn't know if we'd ever
Yeah.
researched it as a town.
Moving on, Comcast, DPS focus group meeting?
Yeah, Chris and I received an email from Core Trowbridge of BCTV asking us to participate in the DPS focus group meeting on their behalf. And essentially, for those of you who don't know, Comcast has to come up before the Public Service Board in order to get their contract renewed to operate in Vermont. So this is just this isn't the hearing or anything like that, it's just a focus group that they're doing in various cities throughout the state to hear what the citizens think. There's a little bit of confusion in the email that Katrina sent out and what's listed in our guide for tonight. I was wearing two hats when I wrote this email. The hat that we're going to wear for BCTV doesn't have anything to do with the fiber question that I posed in the second half of the email. That request was a group to the fiber committee just stating that, oh, if I'm going to participate in this, should we talk about fiber in Vernon? And as you can see from the responses, we're not going to do that. So I guess what I'm doing is I'm asking the board do you want me to participate in this?
Do you want a headache?
I don't have a problem speaking on behalf of BCTV. I think they provide a great service for us, and Comcast is squeezing them. I shouldn't say squeezing them, but they could provide a much better product if the people speak. So I'm willing to go up there and talk about that.
I think but we're paying Comcast, we need somebody to speak on.
Yes, I agree.
I think we need this.
Then probably make a motion to have Mike do that. So moved. Second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Anybody from the audience?
Employee rates.
Motion's been made and seconded to have Mike speak on behalf of BCTV.
Or I'm representing Vernon on behalf of
Representing
BCTV.
Vernon, right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay. There you go. More time away from home.
Congratulations. I shouldn't have come tonight.
Really want to. Okay, so moving on, Girl Scouts. The Girl Scouts has, according to your email there, has requested that they be allowed to meet right out here in this room here, which was the former preschool room. And they would like to place a cabinet in there also to keep their stuff, store their things in. And they wonder if it's okay with the board.
Do we know the size of the cabinet?
No, they didn't say.
I don't think it'd be very big. What?
Yeah.
We craft a lot.
You would know.
I would.
Candy, all those cookies.
All the cookies, there you go.
I mean,
They better lock 'em up.
I would think it would be,
We're gonna lock the whole town.
I mean.
I move we allow the Girl Scouts to use the old preschool room for their meetings, and additionally to put a cabinet in there that they can store their supplies in.
I'll second that. Under discussion, could we have them coordinated with our maintenance guy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, until after he's done with the floors.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was just thinking
So
that.
nice.
And that should probably be incorporated in the motion.
Okay, to be effective after they've spoken to the maintenance foreman and after he finishes doing the floors.
Absolutely. All right, and we have that was a friendly amendment?
Yeah.
And this, no, okay. Motion's been made and seconded to, allow the Vernon Girl Scouts to hold their meetings in the former preschool room and to have, place a cabin in there to store their crafting supplies. And, but it's to be coordinated through Kevin and after the floor is done.
I have a question. Does that mean that they get a key to the building so they can come in during off hours?
They sign out a key.
I would say they would have to sign out a key, that's what
Is that the
we're trying to get a
Procedures?
procedure
Okay.
going that way.
And then if the cabinet is locked, which I would
That would be
suggest
up
that
to
they
them.
would do we need to have a key, or does Kevin need to have a key to
No.
get in there for? Okay.
No.
Well, they're not gonna be storing bombs in there, right?
No.
Girl Scout
But
cookies.
fire starters maybe.
But she wants the key because it's got the Girl Scout cookies in there. Okay. All right, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, the next part is the new thing to this board anyway, is the grant money for the, emergency management. And, Mike took that home to read it because I've asked him to sign it, and that's what I need from the board is his, a motion to authorize him to sign it. What it is it's the money that, go ahead, you.
It's a grant we get from the state of Vermont in the amount of $32,000. It goes to the emergency management, the EOC, yes. And those funds are used specifically, I mean, there are specific earmarks to these. EMD funding, annual training allotment, pager pay, and radiological officer pay.
Who do you
So-
think
so-
paid for that strawberry shortcake?
Yes. So every year we get this, and every year we need to sign this State of Vermont standard sub-recipient agreement. And because Chris is the EMD as well as the chair, she thinks it's a conflict of interest for her to sign it, so we're asking that you allow me to sign this recipient agreement.
And Chair, I move that we have the vice chair sign this agreement.
Second.
All right, any more discussion, any questions from the audience? This funding will probably end this year, well, actually, 2016, June 30th, because BY is going away, so. Although, if I may, while we're under discussion here, I will say that we're going to start, we have been meeting quite regularly. We have Brattleboro people come down from the Homeland Security, Brattleboro office, and give us trainings. And now we're in an all-hazard type of training and planning. And we'll be meeting quite often, so it'll be at least once a month. But we've decided that we are going to also have the select board, which is only 2 more members, Mike and Emily be involved as well in our meetings, because we have to make a town-wide plan in case of certain disasters. And in certain disasters, the select board becomes the incident commanders. And I fall off to next in line. In some cases, the fire department is incident command, in some cases, the highway is. My main role will become, I'm head, the EMD is head when it's a, like DUI disaster and stuff like that, and there's other things too, that I become the incident commander. But the select board's gonna be playing a big role in these all hazards type of things. We have to plan on like floods, hurricanes.
I think you guys just have to be aware of what happens, so if God forbid something does happen and we come together as a select board, you guys have a clue what us
going
three
on?
that have been on it for a little while, I haven't been on it that long, maybe a year.
But you've been an awesome asset, I'll add that, I promise. You really have.
But, so you guys have a clue when we say, well, okay, this is the issue that we have, and your brains can go to, okay, yeah, I remember hearing about that, this is, how we need to proceed, so.
We're gonna,
Well, I was on it before.
yep.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't, so.
You were
It's a
our
big
transportation
deal.
officer, correct? Yep. Janet, see, now that would be great because Janet's on it as the transportation officer, but now I would have two, you see? And it'd be great, And then I'll put you in work with, what's his name over there? Josh. What's his name? Oh, no, he's awesome.
He is.
He is awesome. He
Necessary.
really, we got, high marks on a graded drill, that was our last drill. And, Vernon really came way out on top, and I contributed to every one of you, myself, Patty, Janet, and Maddie. But we did things a lot different than there ever was before, and it paid off.
A lot of training,
Yeah.
that helped.
All right, so motion's been made and seconded, to have Mike, the vice chair, sign that, EMD grant or emergency management grant. And, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. All right, and now, new is Finance Committee has, oh, please don't let me lose it. Thank you very much, Mike. They have a new member that is interested, and his name is, or her name is.
No, it's him.
I didn't look at it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Thomas Rappaport.
Yes.
And I guess he's okayed through the committee, and, yes,
We don't
no?
have any reason not,
Okay.
not to welcome.
Can you jog my memory, did he used to be a judge in Massachusetts or
He
something?
told me that he was just retiring and he's a lawyer,
Lawyer,
and I believe he worked in Boston for
Okay.
his career.
yep.
And he's always had a home on Hucklehill Road. And he's just,
Oh, I know, which helps
he's just
a little bit.
retiring, and he's come in several times to find out things about the town. It just sounds like he needs something to do.
Yeah.
He called me when I was running for select board and talked to me for probably 15-20 minutes about the town. It was
Wow.
a nice call, so.
Yeah. So I just said, why don't you join a committee? So he said, well, what committees need members? And I rattled off a bunch of them, and he said finance and.
Great.
Yeah, I'm looking at the email.
Second.
Go ahead, Emily.
I was looking at
That was fast,
the
wasn't it?
email that he sent was, he was an attorney at the, Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. So finance is definitely the right
Oh, yeah.
area for him.
Any more discussion? Okay, motion's been made and seconded to, appoint Thomas J. Rappaport to the Finance Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Who made the motion?
Sandy?
Sandy?
So will the finance committee contact Mr.?
Is that what you'd like?
Yeah.
Or do you,
Or
I mean,
should the
Katrina
liaison-
probably can, but
she
if
can
you
email
wanna.
him back and then we'll tell him
All
about
right.
the meeting.
All right, very good.
Maybe the liaison should be.
It's probably you, so
Liaison
be careful what you say.
She hasn't even showed up. I haven't even done that, never mind. Okay, so moving right along. Public participation, please, Ron.
I wish the planning commission were still here because my 5 comments are addressed to them. Because I want more transparency in Vernon's town government, I want more open meetings, more information sessions on what economic development options the planning commission has considered, as well as on fiber optics and other issues that concern Vernon residents. Even if they only say, this is what we are considering, this is what we are learning. Second, has the planning commission a vision statement? If so, what is it? 3, I am concerned that the planning commission has not updated the town plan to include a section on communication fiber optics. I know they said they will be, but I'm still concerned that it hasn't happened yet, because Munson has asked twice since spring that I
How come you
remember.
didn't bring this up when they were here? So they could answer to you, I mean, I don't know, I mean, are they working on it or are they not? I mean, your questions could have been, you know, easily answered if you'd have asked them during
Because I
that
want
time.
to make a complete statement and not
You
have.
could have done that, I would have allowed you to, go ahead.
And then Mrs. O'Donnell said that a gas power plant will bring in $1 billion, and I was just wondering for details. Again, you're right in that point.
No, Bob Spencer said
No,
that.
Bob and Spencer said that.
Well, somebody said that.
Yeah.
It said it was $1 billion facility.
Facility.
Yeah,
All right. No,
So
it
it costs
but
$1
would
billion
bring-
to build, not that it will bring in $1 billion. It
would be nice though, wouldn't it?
would.
We could all go home and
We could, we could all go to France.
I'll go.
I know.
And for the record, I am opposed to a gas power plant coming to Vernon. Thank you.
Yes, please.
As the newly appointed liaison. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make light of your statement. Could you just email me a copy of that and I'll try and get your answers, or your questions answered?
Your concerns?
Yes.
Not so much answers, but concerns acknowledged. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else,
I
anybody
have
else?
a question.
Sure.
I think they ought to look into other ways of bringing something into the state, into our town. I think they're really pushing this, even though they're not saying that. But I think, like Vincent said, the electric company out of Canada, there's so many other ways of bringing something into this town. And I'm not for the gas at all. I've been reading the Greenfield Recorder. I don't know if anybody else gets it. My husband gets it every day. And there's towns in Massachusetts that have refused them to even come and step into their towns, or they're gonna be sued.
Yep.
So-
Well, that would be another thing.
I've seen some of the articles in the Recorder, and I've seen, specific governing boards requesting, fracking studies and all sorts of things like that. In the meeting that I just went to, they are researching other options. Not many energy options, but most certainly, you've heard it a number of times tonight, was the fiber optic committee, and it was brought up as well, the big server farm. I don't know if you're aware of what a server farm is, but it's just like this huge room that is literally full of computer servers that they would use something like one of those cooling towers to cool the place. And essentially, that's what companies are using now. If we can get big companies like that to invest their infrastructure in Vernon, sure, it's not gonna produce the amount of jobs, hundreds of jobs, but they are trying to bring revenue like that into Vernon as well. So it's not just a single vision thing that's going on.
I'd like to say something on that line too.
Yeah.
The planning committee, from what I can tell, based on what they, said tonight and that kind of thing, are working through a bunch of different options, and they're putting a lot of time specifically into this gas plant because it sounds like there's a time window, and if you wanna take advantage of it, you have to be either on the court or off the court to take advantage of it. And the last thing I wanna do is discourage any committee from searching out anything to begin with. It's okay to be against a gas plant, that's perfectly fine, that's your own, thinking on that. But until we know all the facts, we can't make a decision as town leaders. We have to know how it's gonna affect our environment here in Vernon, we have to know, the pros and cons of it, and we don't know that yet because they're not that far along in the process from what I understand. I mean, this is, the update tonight was the most I've heard about it, which was a good thing that we had the update.
Yeah.
But I don't wanna discourage any committee or make any committee feel like they're doing something wrong by pursuing any specific avenue. These are volunteer people, and they're trying to do what they think is best for the town, and then we as a town come together at a town meeting style, setting and say, yeah, we wanna go forward with this, or no, we don't. So I think we need to be careful when we're, criticizing our committees about what they're researching and what they're studying, because they are a volunteer group. And, we as, the residents of Vernon do have the ultimate say in the end when we bring it to a public meeting, so let them do the research and the work and bring it to us, and we make a decision from there as residents of the town.
I agree. Vince?
I think we need to remember that Vernon already has more assets than almost any of our neighbors. We've got a tremendous amount of stuff already, but we can't stop spending. That's our problem. We've got to start living within our means. We've got a lot of industry now. I mean, compared to
Come
Guilford.
our meetings, our budget meetings, okay? I mean it, I would really, really love to have, you all come and input, and help us with the budgets. Kathy?
I'd just like to sort of reiterate, the positive comments that Josh made. I mean, I know that Mrs. O'Donnell made a comment, and this is one of the few meetings I've attended, but I haven't been up to speed on any of these matters, so I think this is very valuable to bring this forward to the citizens of the town, and I agree that let the committee do their work and bring forward as much information, pros and cons, to the citizens of our town, because whichever direction we decide to go in is going to impact our future seriously for many years. So, thank you. I think that's vital at this juncture, at any time, particularly now.
Okay. Anybody else? Moving on, we got future agenda items. Anybody have anything? And let's just try next agenda, which is the 21st. We do have, I just sent it to you. We have, Ronna, help me out because I'm just late at night. With the
Vermont
rural
Council on
development.
Rural
Yes,
Development.
thank you.
Vermont Council on Rural Development.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. We have them coming down, they had called me and I'm sorry, my computer crashed and I have lost every email that I have saved, and I am so upset because a lot of that, what I save is select board stuff, and I've lost it all. But, anyway, we'll start over. Years of stuff I've lost. But, so I couldn't send it forward, but, that definitely will be coming. They called and wanna meet with us. And anybody else have anything?
Seventh.
Seventh?
They put in a request a long time ago to come to a September meeting, and we're not having the first September meeting that they wanted to come to, so we had sent them that email asking them to come on the 21st.
That'll be, it'd be a good informative meeting then, that's what we use it for. Sandy, have anything? Emily?
The liaison
Guidelines.
Okay.
I didn't put that down for September unless you want it to be September. I put it down for maybe an October meeting.
That's good, let's get through budgets.
Yeah, we also have, the key policy.
We have the key policy, we have to.
We really have to get that kind of done too. Kevin's been waiting for it. Now, if we wanted to wait for October meeting, that would be good too. Kevin's mother is here for the month, and to ask him to come out in the evening, I think would be, you know, not very nice. So, yeah, not unless it's an emergency, I mean, he'll show up, he would do that, but, well, his mom's here, for something like that, so why don't we do that for the first of the, October meeting?
I think they're gone and
Which would be, the fifth? Am I looking at that? You know what, she's put a calendar right here in front of me, and I always forget to look, it's right here, the fifth.
The fifth, okay.
Okay, let's see. She told me.
You think they might be on vacation?
I think so. I
Okay.
just,
Okay.
you can let us know, right?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, I think she said they were gonna be gone in October, part of October.
Okay.
Well, if not the fifth, then put it on this.
Put it on the next one, you know, I mean, we got a couple meetings there. Anybody from the audience that would like to come say something, be on the agenda, whatever, or have a suggestion? No? I moved right along that one, did you notice? Real fast. So, any media questions? Ian?
I'll talk to Mike after the meeting, give him some BCTV updates.
Sounds great. Wow, guess what's next, somebody?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All right, motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye, yes.
So they have to sign it into it, right?
Okay. We have with pen here.